to Worlds?
Our general mindset right now is just improve as much as we can to see how far we can go in the Gauntlet.
One step at a time. Let's just beat Envy first.
솔직히 말해서는 이길 수는 있을 것 같아요. 3대0 아니면 3대1.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2016 NALCS Regional Qualifier live from Los Angeles, California. Here you see brand new jungler Arcsecond is making his LCS debut today for Team Liquid, and he's, of course, joined by their other new addition in AD carry Jhin on stage getting ready to lock in. He'll have to face off against Envy's carry in Laud. We're going to see him making final preparations for the battle. Some seat adjustments because you got to be just at the right height. Anyways, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm James Dash Patterson. Happy to be back on the desk alongside Alberto Crumsang-Hifo and Aiden Zyrene Moon. Gentlemen, back from Toronto. How was the flight?
It was a very nice flight. They have televisions so you can watch, unlike most airlines that I'm on, so I had a really easy time.
There we are, and we're back here to qualify our third and final team to Worlds. Are you guys ready to see who's going to make it happen?
Absolutely. Like, I'm sad that it goes all the way to Monday because I'm like, I want to know now who that last team is.
I'm excited, but I don't think the teams that will make it are the ones that we're looking at today.
We'll have to see. The odds are stacked against them. But first order of business, let's take a look at the path our teams will need to take to the World Championship. As you can see here, our two bottom-seeded playoff teams in Team Liquid and Envy are facing off today. Now, the winner of today's match will go on to face Cloud9 tomorrow, and the winner of that one moves on to finally face Immortals to qualify for Worlds. So it's going to be a tough road for either of these teams. Of course, we heard there just in the very opening video, of course, that Team Liquid has kind of tempered expectations, while Envy is maybe getting a little bit of a boon from the fact that Team Liquid is in a bit of disarray.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because Envy, you know, up against Liquid, before all this stuff happened with like the roster changes, you would think that Liquid are the favorites coming into it. Now, Envy are definitely the favorites coming into it against Liquid, who have a substitute jungler who has never played jungle before professionally in any capacity. I mean, the guy, Arcsecond, is #1 on the ladder, but as a mid laner.
Absolutely. And of course, the winner of this regional qualifier will be joining our other two seeds in TSM and CLG, who solidified the top two NA seeds at Worlds. They'll be heading to San Francisco to battle it out in the group stage. And of course, one of the 4 teams in this gauntlet will be joining them. You see here, Samsung Galaxy qualified in the LCK just last night, beating out KT. Fantastic series. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. LMS will be following up with their second seed later this evening. So that's going to be another big matchup.
The crazy thing about that LCK match was that KT Roaster had beaten Samsung 19 times, had never lost a game or a series, and the final time that they lose is for the qualifier.
Yeah. Not since 2014, I think, is
Jesus.
when the last time they dropped a game to them. And also in LMS, the AHQ versus Machi, because that was J-Team, the undefeated team from this regular season in the LMS, going down to a team that was near the bottom of the standings.
Right, so our matchup tonight for LMS is a surprise in and of itself. We'll see who moves on to join Flash Wolves at Worlds. Now, last year, of course, here in NA, Cloud9 was the bottom seed in the regional qualifier, and they fought their way through it all. 5-game series across the board, and they make it as the third and final seed. So one has to look at a matchup like this and say, hey, well, it is possible. But this year's gauntlet run, in a way, is a lot tougher, given who waits for you in the next 2 rounds.
Yeah, Cinderella stories don't happen that often.
Yeah, if they happen every year, they're not Cinderella stories, right?
Exactly. And I mean, I can't think of a better setup if it does happen, because
that's true.
Cloud9 and Immortals, you have to go through the teams that finish 2 and 3 in the playoffs. There is not a harder gauntlet that you could possibly have to run.
Yeah, it's a very good point. As CLG did secure that second seed due to points, whereas most people would say they may be the 4th strongest team in the region in terms of current power level, that means you're facing off against, you know, the guys that went up against TSM in the finals, then Immortals, who kind of smashed that third place matchup. So it's not a position that I want to be in, is the position of either of these two teams, aside from the fact that they still do have a shot. Now, the World Championship is the destination for one of the teams in the gauntlet run. Now, if you want to join them, your opportunity to grab tickets is open again for a limited time. Seats for the group stage battles in San Francisco's Bill Graham Civic Auditorium are still available. Fans who attend the group stage matches will have an opportunity to meet and greet with the best league players in the world, so you don't won't want to miss it. And of course, if you're an East Coaster, the World Semifinal is coming to Madison Square Garden, and a limited number of tickets are now on sale, just released. So head on over to lolesports.com/tickets for more details. We're about ready to send it over to the casters, though. So first, we're going into this best of 5. AD carry Lod is predicting a clean EnVy win.
Yeah, I would say I'm extremely confident. I think we're going to probably 3-0 them. After our series versus C9, I realized that it's kind of exhausting to play more than 3 games in a BO5, so my strategy going in is just to go for the 3-0 so I don't tire myself out.
Well, hopefully if you go into Worlds, you can play more than 3 games. There's going to be a lot ahead of you right here. Lod hoping to make it a 3-0. Hello, everyone. I am David Phreak. Truly mix it up on the broadcast today with Sam, Kobe, Hartman, Kensler. Ready to
win
play
all
some
the
games.
time. Then you don't have to, stress yourself out.
That's true. Just win perfect sweep. It would still take you like 15 games to win Worlds, though, so keep that in mind, Lod. Now, of course, we've got to take a look at the starting lineups, getting into our first game of the series. And up first, it's going to be Liquid on the blue side. Lourlo, the perennial top laner. New jungler Arcsecond in here, formerly of mid lane. FeniX, actually the mid laner. Jynthe is still in for Fabia AD carry. Matt still in at support with their coach Loco Doco.
And their opponents are Team EnVy. Up top is Seraph. In the jungle, Procxin, mid, Ninja. AD carry Lod, support Hakuho, and Coach Miracle.
And so this is going to be a very interesting match. Of course, we've talked about some of the pieces of this game. If you were hearing the sound bites at the very beginning of the show, it's talking about Dardoch getting cut from Liquid,
right.
Arcsecond coming in. And the thing is, the way Liquid was set up is they had Moon as a sub for most of the split, but at a certain point, there's a roster lock between Challenger and the LCS. You can't sign any new players. Players can only be on one of the rosters. Moon played for TLA. He's no longer eligible for Liquid, the big boy team. And the only sub they had left was basically Jynthe and Arcsecond, who is a mid laner. Arcsecond has played in the Challenger
that was
series
2 weeks
before.
ago, man. Now he's a jungler.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, right, exactly. So, Arcsecond, replacing Dardoch kind of at the last minute to a certain extent. He has been pressing as hard as he can at learning jungle. If he's playing solo queue, he's playing jungle main, whatever. He's playing.
He's a good League of Legends player.
He's number 1 on the ladder right now.
And now he's playing jungle. We will see how it is because Procxin is one of the junglers in the LCS that got a lot of credit from a lot of other teams. Already here, though, we're seeing Team Liquid target ban Team EnVy and some of their more oddball picks. The Kennen counter picking a Gnar. Maybe Lourlo wants to grab that Gnar early on. And then also, obviously, the Karma has been huge for EnVy all split long, with both Ninja and Hakuho taking turns.
Absolutely the case. And you're seeing a bunch of tanks taken off the table for Liquid. Also interesting, they're banning away the Gangplank. I know many teams would love to first pick the champion, but they're going to ban it away. Lolo's not going to play it, neither can Seraph, which makes me think
looks more and more
Vladimir.
Gnar-like.
Yeah, it's true. Gnar can just kind of hop out of the matchup, but no, not anymore. Gonna get banned out. It still feels like I think Liquid will just love to first pick Vladimir, as they tend to for FeniX. Like when they win,
definitely
it's
worthy of a first pick in
Yeah.
the current state of the game. Vladimir across the world having a lot of success. We'll see though, because some teams put a lot of importance on getting a comfortable jungler whenever you do have a new jungle player.
That's true.
Maybe a comfortable AD
Cho'Gath.
carry as well. It's funny because this is the first time I heard the crowd talking about Champion Select, discussing it before the match.
Oh, nice.
And they were all like, yeah, EnVy, they just have to ban Sivir. Jhin Sivir. It's going to be amazing.
Well, they've got to consider that one. Of course, we know Lod is happy to play the champion himself. He's very good at it. There's actually a lot of high priority champions. Sivir is actually banned more than she's picked at this point, so I actually forget that she exists half the time as a high priority champion, but actually is going to be the Ekko grabbed up as a potential flex. I've seen mid Ekko a couple of times, but actually going top lane first. I don't see this very much.
There were a bunch of top lane bans, so we're assuming that this is going to be Ekko for Lourlo top lane payment, but very well could be flexed up. Meanwhile, though, EnVy doesn't look like they want to give anything away, and they're actually going to toe the meta line here, it looks like, and just pick up first rounders for support and jungle.
Yeah, no big
very,
shock
very
there.
common. I say RekSai is probably the most common. Very closely followed by Gragas, though.
Ooh, well, they're actually not going to go for the Sivir after all. Jynthe's going to play a champion who's got a very similar name to him. Jhythe's going to be in there. FeniX does get his Vladimir after all, and I think Liquid's getting a lot of what they'd like.
I really like when you pick Jhin with double AP, because Jhin likes to build that flat attack damage, or flat armor penetration build, and it de-incentivizes your enemies from starting off with a lot of armor if both your solo laners are AP.
Yeah.
And, you know, Ekko is kind of mixed there with the Trinity Force build, but still definitely going to have to respect the varied damage profile here that Team Liquid are already showing.
Totally agree. You could even see more magic damage coming into the jungle. Nidalee, Elise, and Gragas, probably the next most common junglers to see. So, yeah, a very magic damage heavy profile likely here for Liquid.
Speaking of profiles, we did look up Arcsecond's profile, and there was a jungle Cho'Gath on there, so there's some more magic.
Oh yeah, no, there's plenty. Diana is like the next step as well if he's not playing the meta junglers.
Yeah, honestly though, if you are into a new role on the LCS stage, you'll probably just go with what's meta at the moment in the LCS, and that would be the Gragas if we assume he just toes the line. There it is. What you were getting excited for, though, the Kassadin did come through for Ninja, trying to play into the Vladimir. We've seen that a couple times, and he can have kill pressure and he can snowball, but Vladimir can also, you know, rush that Spirit Visage and take over wave control.
The way I like to think about Kassadin in this is there's lots of ways to consider counter picks if you want to consider Kassadin counter picks. Some are lane counters, right? Some, for example, Kennen into Gnar is one that I think exists where you're going to bully the first 10 to 20 minutes of the game and you have lane advantage and, you know, the opponent's life is difficult. Some is more of a strategic counter where it's like Kassadin's main weakness is a bad laning phase. Well, guess what? Vladimir's 1 through 6 is pretty crap as far as bullying you out. So Kassadin has license to free farm and then be a mid-game Kassadin with full CS and gets to run around and do Kassadin things that normally you don't get to do that, and that tends to be very powerful. And look at this, it's actually a Malzahar picked up alongside the Kassadin. Now we've seen a little bit of Malzahar top from Splice. Wonders played it. I don't feel like Kassadin's good into Ekko, so I think that's going to be that Malz top. And that's going to be all kinds of interesting.
Yeah, very curious as to where the junglers are going to start off now. Because Malzahar, early on especially, very vulnerable to ganks. Auto pushes with a lot of his spells, and also does not have his own escapes. So if you do put him in the top lane, which they are not doing currently,
they're going to swap in a couple seconds, I'm pretty
he's
sure.
very vulnerable to those. But yeah, Seraph is going to do Seraph things either way. And Kassadin into the Ekko.
All right, that's interesting. I feel like both the champions are good into Vladimir specifically. Malzahar has the lockdown and all the damage to kill him through the pool and everything, but Kassadin on top is new.
Yeah, you're talking about difference between laning phase and later stages of the game where you get into team fights and stuff. And later stages, obviously, Malzahar is great. You know, just ult him and try and layer it with the silence.
Yeah.
As he's trying to charge into your team. But early on, Vladimir's just fine farming up in the mid lane alongside Malzahar. The hardest part about Malzahar is just getting the last hits early on.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if we can do it. We are getting ourselves into game one. Hashtag TL win, hashtag NV win. For which squad do you think is going to take the game and take the series? A best of 5 here in front of us. The gauntlet has to be run now. The North American regional qualifiers begin as Liquid takes on Team EnVy, and it's time to hit the rift. Got a nice crowd here in the Battle Theater. Thank you very much for joining us here on this Saturday. Keep in mind, I love you too. Thank you. To keep in mind, we will have...
You've come a long way.
I have come a long way. I said thanks last time someone said that. I've become more gracious in my old age, as I'm still 29 like before.
I remember it clearly.
Was it actually with you?
Yes.
Oh, nice. But yeah, keep in mind, of course, whoever wins will have to play tomorrow against Cloud9. So if you want to keep cheering on the team that wins, show up in 24 hours. It'll happen again.
Yeah, because whichever team does win is going to need some extra support. Cloud9 and the rest of the Gauntlet are looking very, very scary. Step number 1, though, in front of them right now, and that would be game number 1. As Lod said, he wanted to go 3-0 and make this a quick series.
Yep.
Let's see if they can get off to that start. Infernal Drake does kind of accelerate the pace because it's definitely a snowbally Drake. And, you know, might cause some early action.
Yeah, we'll see if they can beat the speed run that Unicorns of Love put in earlier. Woo. They were done within, I don't know, what, just over 2 hours, roughly?
Extremely fast, and crazy that they were that fast in ending their series, and their game 2 actually looked like they were going to lose because they were behind.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's take a look here. Both junglers will start out on the top side. Maybe they make return visits up to the, I mean, Gragas is one of those junglers that can very easily gank just off of blue side camps. Doesn't need the red buff. Arcsecond could go for an early visit up top and try and punish Kassadin. Problem is, Ekko probably will push Kassadin in anyway, and he'll just try and play defensively.
Absolutely the case. So we have very normal stuff right here. Top lane is leashing, dual lanes taking, Procxin, Braum, etc. We'll have to see how the lanes themselves actually play out. I'm curious to see what Seraph is doing specifically with his build. You know, standard precision, Thunderlords, that whole deal, scaling CDR blues it looks like, and gonna be AP Kassadin. Not looking like it's anything too crazy.
I mean, your runes and stuff wouldn't give away too much. You could technically go, you know, a bit more beefy build, more tanky build for the top lane. I know Voyboy's super big fan of taking assassins up there and just building them all semi-tank. But I think that they will need this extra split push threat and kill pressure from Lourlo. Lourlo's done a very good job this season in developing into being a very strong split push style player.
Yeah. I think he's definitely been very good this year as a player, and we'll see if he can continue this sort of level of moderate dominance against Seraph here. And, you know, what's actually now his team, I think, being an underdog with the recent Liquid roster changes, I think it does fall pretty heavily on Lourlo, as well as FeniX to be the big ones to win the game.
Yeah, if you think about now from Team Liquid's perspective, Lourlo is actually one of the veterans technically on the team with all the roster swaps that they have been having.
Yeah, he and Matt are the second most experienced players tied on the team, with this being their first year.
Definitely going to attract some jungle attention, though. Seraph is one of the top laners with the highest jungler presence of their own junglers. Procxin spending a lot of time up there, and we'll see if he is able to make his way. Meanwhile, you know, in the first 3 minutes, though, we did see a lot of fighting over both bottom side jungle sort of semi-objectives. The Scuttle Crab, it was won by Procxin, but basically both teams got information that both junglers were down there during the time.
Ooh. Sun to Jhin, final shot comes through, good dodge by Hakuho, and jumps over, but here comes the headbutt, pulverize. A quick trade back in, and well, Jynthe is definitely injured, but Hakuho lost plenty of health too. And Procxin saying, if everyone's low, I want to show up to the party.
Yep.
Does get behind the ward. Here comes the attempt. Can he flash knock him out of Jynthe? The flash Q, ignite is on. Not good for the Jhin. He's running away, but the attacks are still there. A couple more auto attacks, but a nice pulverize by Matt saves the day, and Liquid's AD carry walks out alive.
Yeah, great job by Matt, staying calm in that gank and spacing out the headbutt to get the jungler out of there, and then holding on to this pulverize to get all three knocked up. Meanwhile, top lane, Arcsecond is going to make his debut.
Well, he's going to have to make this one cap pretty quickly. Lourlo's running out of health inside the minion wave. He's got to be a little bit careful, but Seraph now does not really have any way of making this one out. He's got flash. He could. Doesn't go for the outplay. There's the auto attack. There's first blood. Arcsecond is going to show up. And it's going to be nice for Liquid. They're the first kill coming through for the new jungler.
There you go. Team Liquid, new sub. Get him in there. And first blood, first LCS. Well, it's not LCS technically game, but...
I mean, is it though?
It's on an LCS stage.
LCS teams? I don't know. Yeah. Is it technically LCS, Kobe? You decide. Hashtag LCS. I don't know.
No,
we got nothing here. We got nothing. I screwed it up. I screwed it up.
This is its own tournament.
We're moving on.
Meanwhile, the Farm Fest mid lane. We set this up. And playing out pretty much exactly as they would expect. Ninja actually getting a pretty good push there. I think that FeniX will be just fine CSing under his turret. I'll see if he able to get all of them.
That's actually an insane stat. 2016 summer, 20 unique champions picked for Seraph. That's actually ridiculous.
Sometimes that's a really good thing if you can perform really well with all those champions. Sometimes it's someone trying to figure out what's good for the team and find out what is going to have success. 20 champions is definitely insane. I know plenty of ranked players at the top of the ladder that have not even played 20 yeah, exactly 5.
Their mastery score is like 42. It's like, yeah, these same champions, they're all level 7.
All right, Procxin gonna track Arcsecond and Matt here. You can see the support and junglers trying to work on that synergy already. That's one of the most important things for pro play, going to ward together. Safety in numbers, and they did get some deep wards there in EnVy's side of the jungle.
Yeah, I mean, it has helped Liquid not get ganked too badly, but you're kind of watching these matchups, and even despite the first blood, Seraph is actually smashing this laning phase right now. I did not expect Kassadin to be good into Ekko, but whether it's Lourlo not knowing the matchup or Seraph knowing it's the counter, it's actually a pretty substantial farm lead.
I mean, I feel like Kassadin's pretty good into a lot of the AP melees because you get to use your shield plus your auto attack reset really effectively.
True.
But yeah, and now he's got control of the minion wave, and he's hit that sweet level 6 for Kassadin as well.
He's now invincible.
Yeah, exactly. To take away a lot of the threat for ganks, plus you have your own kill pressure. The main difference, though, is that Seraph uses teleport, so that's also going to help out your CS numbers. Trying to get back there from the death on his gank. We'll see, though, if he has to play more scared of Arcsecond, as the jungler has also hit level 6.
Arcsecond and Procxin cross paths. They know what's going on. They're both in the northern jungle right here. But here comes the gank attempt towards Ninja. He goes to make sure he wasn't going to get body slam flashed. I think it was the right choice. It's the shorter cooldown. Lourlo tries to trade up with Seraph using the shield, but you can see that Seraph is very good at picking his fights, and he just disengages by the time Lourlo's shield would come in. And does not get away from the passive. Quick trade of blows back and forth. Once again, we have this sort of 9 minion difference with them trading blows very heavily. Seraph is out of potions. Lourlo's chugging through his corrupting potion himself. Another combo comes in. They get the knockup. Great job by Hakuho to block the deadly flourish. Very smart by him. Goes up in time. And that's the fun thing is playing Alistar into Sivir is you can pretty much guarantee pulverize no matter what.
All right, Lourlo has access to his ultimate, also has his flash.
There's the first flash. Nicely timed, actually gets away from Procxin. That could have been really scary. And now Arcsecond's going to turn it back around. Damage onto this RekSai. Good. Ooh. Unlucky explosive cast sends him the wrong way. Procxin able to waddle to safety, but no, they're going to go back here for this one. Trying to burn him down. It's actually going to happen. Wow, Liquid pulling the trigger. Oh. Here comes the re-engage for Seraph, and he takes him out. Lourlo, I think, didn't have mana. No, it was on cooldown. But Arcsecond takes him out anyway. 2 more kills. And look at this. Best jungle Liquid's ever had. 2-0-1 Arcsecond.
Well, he is off to a good start. I mean, did flub up the ultimate a little. Let's see the chase here, though, because this is the flash on the unburrow here from Lourlo.
Yeah.
Really good job from him. And then the re-engage here should be pretty clean. Arcsecond gets the body slam into the auto even. Knows he doesn't have flash to get out of there, but a little bit misplaced on the ultimate. They chase it down anyway, though, and grab the kill. And then the second one is actually a choice here. This is Team Liquid going for the chase. Seraph turns it around. It's Lourlo deciding they want to go for this. But how many times have we seen LCS players flash after there's already an auto started from one of the players? You have to flash. If you want to do that, you have to flash into Fog of War, and then that can work. However, we've seen so many people also burn flashes when dying like that, trying to flash away from melee spells or auto attacks.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for like that last second body slam that Arcsecond had that pushed him down actually away from the wall, he would have actually had time to flash before those last autos came in. So some tight timing. I did want to correct one thing. Lourlo's ult was on cooldown actually. It wasn't a mana issue. It was still down from getting back to lane instead of TPing. He ulted, so it was down for a little while. Wasn't able to do it to save himself, and it still meant positive kills though. Liquid 3-1 all in the top lane. It's all been about Lourlo versus Seraph. That's where all the kills have been.
Yeah, I mean, Arcsecond and Lourlo versus
Sure, of course. Seraph. Procxin.
Meanwhile, bottom lane, the story has changed here.
Finds Ninja, gets some damage, pushes them towards the turret. Here comes Matt with a great flash pulverize into the headbutt, and Ninja's caught up, and he's staying alive. Matt's running out of health. He's not level 6. One more hit, he'll do it, and Lot gets the final attack, but here comes the re-engage. It's too much AoE. This could be a tragedy now for Liquid, but they're getting a couple back and forth. The trade kills still come through. It looks like it's actually +2 Liquid, getting the advantage, including a triple kill for Jynthe.
And it's a massacre. Team Liquid clean up on the bottom side. Matt goes in to get Ninja under the turret. Ninja has to blow all of his summoners. He ghosted in. Jynthe really gets a clean up here. So we talked about, Arcsecond starting off really hot. Now there's a bunch of kills on the other sub here for Team Liquid. The subs actually have almost all of the kills so far. Arcsecond, though, waiting on the pink ward right there. There it is. The Ninja has to flash and ghost to try and get out of there. Even though Matt isn't level 6, survives for a long time off of the heal from Jynthe. And then trying to escape that turret dive. EnVy just get blown apart here. FeniX heading down from the mid lane, cuts off the escape, and they got 4 off of that.
So rough stuff. We have a 2,000 gold lead now for Liquid. Only 11 minutes in. You can see Lourlo trying to push the wave in. Seraph smartly TPs to the minion to make that push not go quite as fast.
Now, the early game has gone very well for Team Liquid thus far. However, one of the other things we're looking at for this team in the Gauntlet is how are they going to deal without having Dardoch as their shot caller, because that was the other big role that Dardoch did fill for the team. I mean, we've seen previously in the LCS what Team Liquid looks like without Dardoch, and they were a little bit more lost towards the middle and end games. not as decisive. So now it's going to be the question of, can Team Liquid turn this early lead into some vision wars? Well, they've got jungle pressure.
They found a lot more CC as well. Procxin's going to get rid of that. Nice shot by Jhin. That's going to be enough damage. Yes, it will. Arcsecond with another kill to his name. 3, 1, and 4. EnVy just cannot catch a break. Here comes the play for the first Infernal Drake.
All right, it looks like it should be a pretty easy secure for Team Liquid to pick this one up. They aren't even bringing Jynthe over from the bottom lane, and there's going to be no contest from EnVy. So Infernal Drake on top of it all. We preface this by saying Infernal Drake could cause early action, and it's very snowballing. Oh my goodness, mid lane though.
FeniX might die for this one. The Malefic Visions is on, trying to heal with the W. It's away, and Lourlo shows to save the day. And now it's the re-engage. Jynthe's going to run out of health. He's going to drop down. FeniX survives it all. He's got 1,000,000 MR, just doesn't take enough damage.
Oh
Liquid's turning it around again.
Goodness, Vladimir things. That's why this champion is first pick so often.
100 magic.
Now they've got all 5 members in the mid lane. This is a very, very easy power spike to start snowballing now. They take so much damage off this mid lane turret. Both mid lane and I believe bottom lane was taking a little bit, not so much bottom lane, but mid lane definitely softened up here. So first turret gold is still on the table, remember. That is another very important objective if they want to continue snowballing. But look at this play from FeniX. Vladimir, he goes offensive right here. Most people would run away under their turret very scared, but he knows he has his pool to rely upon, comes back in after the charge up there for the second Q, so he has the extra healing, and he's able to turn it around with good communication with Lourlo on the roam. Team Liquid getting another very big victory here early on.
Plus 317 for that empowered Q, and the Hemo Plague, of course, helping quite a bit. So 10-3. Plus the Infernal Drake, 2,500 gold. Definitely still quite sizable. The thing is, though, for it being 10-3, I feel like I would expect the gold to be higher. At least just a little bit. So EnVy at least are keeping up in farm. Still, obviously, not exactly like EnVy's winning by any means, but I think it's still within reach. But it would be, of course, a bit difficult, as Liquid are just making good choices after good choice.
Oh, yeah. This game definitely still in reach. Plus, it is also a best of 5, so this is just the first game of the series. Right now, EnVy obviously going for the Repel to try and get that onto the Kassadin and on Seraph. So he'll be a split pushing threat with the assassination potential. And his teleport is not up currently, but Lourlo's is. So Team Liquid at the moment do have that global advantage as they go for the invade on the opposite side of the map. And they've got plenty of wards down there as well.
Yep. So you think it's going to be pretty good for Liquid here. You can see sort of the blue vision around the map right now. Braum revealed, they can kind of start tracking where Sivir and Braum are going, but now Lourlo's in a bit of a hot situation there. Ulted, gonna go for the shield. Does not get silenced, ults back, but he's running out of health. Serap's gonna join the fray as well. That's gonna be the kill. Now FeniX in the middle of 3, looking to deal the damage. I think he might run out of HP, but heals back up from the Hemo Plague, gets knocked up. Dangle Pool into the power Q, can he get it in time? Yes, he can. Heals up. Here's the flash chase, and the kill comes through. Now Arcsecond gonna turn it back around. Last shot comes through, and another kill as Procxin goes down 4, 1, and 4. Highest KP, most kills in his team. Arcsecond hard carrying Liquid.
Much needed win there for Team EnVy, though, as they were able to get 2 kills out of that, take down both solo laners. They knew that FeniX did not have any summoners left after the last fight he tried to clean up, so no flash there. And FeniX trying to go 1v3, was able to get some EnVy summoners, actually, in the 1v3, trying to clean up after Lourlo got taken down. But the extra kill does go over to Team EnVy, and they get a little bit extra gold. Look at the beginning here as Lourlo is going to take the one-on-one with Procxin, and Ninja turns it into the 1 versus 2. See here, Lourlo is going to ult back for as much health as he can get, but doesn't get the stun on the parallel convergence, which might have bought him a little bit more time. Yeah, FeniX, though, trying to come clean up. He realizes after that flash from Malzahar, there's no way he's getting another kill out of this, and tries to run into his turret. Another flash from Seraph, and then both Arcsecond. Turret shot was already in the air, so that one's going to connect no matter what. So that meant that he was going down, regardless of Gragas' ultimate pushes him out.
Lourlo stays to get the stun and get the shield, but he's running out of HP. And not enough cooldowns left for EnVy. He's going to be able to survive with his life.
Oh, Arcsecond is pretty deep in the enemy jungle here. Isn't going to get stunned up from the Braum passive, though.
Will be a turret kill, and now Ninja going to be in a bit of hot water, but he regains Hakuho. Quick knockup. Here comes the curtain call, looking for a bit more damage. Not sniping Ninja till just now, and it's going to be the kill pick to FeniX as the final bit of damage. Seraph in the back lines can't really find anyone to kill, though. He's going to get, nope, doesn't get rooted up, but he walks into Arcsecond, the Rift Walk. Trying to get him away from this one, jumps over, and he's going to survive. Arcsecond going to walk away. So far, just the 1 for 0, but here comes a flash chase. Looking for it, can't quite kill off Hakuho, but it does mean priority in the mid lane. Liquid looking to knock down mid lane tier 2.
Very hectic fight right there with a couple of odd flashes, but they are going to try and finish off this turret as they continue the siege. One more minion wave moving up the mid lane. It's not going to arrive in time, though, and they decide to pull off as the respawn timers are very short still.
Yep.
Take a second to calm down here, because that was a very frenetic team fight.
Yeah, this frenetic is exactly the right word for it. This game is super high paced. We've got 1 kill per minute. Vocabulary is awesome. I love it, Kobe. Thank you. But yeah, a super, super hectic game. And again, it remains, I still want to say somewhat close. Now it's 3,000. This is actually growing a little bit now. If it was, you know, maybe 2K not too long ago, now it's 3. This is starting to get a bit more out of hand as Liquid continue to find bigger and bigger advantages. And we're only 17.5 minutes in. It's kind of ridiculous how much has actually happened so far.
Honestly, this is a good welcoming game here for Arcsecond, and it looks like he's feeling just at home here on the Gragas. Continually making plays. This is why, you know, Gragas at the moment is a lot of the pro players' favorite champion. Extremely fun to play early on, using these flashes to create plays for your team. And he's only died the 1 time now, already rushing out to the Frozen Heart, actually, which is going to allow more cooldown reduction for more of those. Plays as he walks into a ward.
Silence, but not ulted. Ninja doesn't go for the big play. Matt got to get unburrowed on, doesn't seem to really care as Procxin goes back to his own jungle. We see different lane assignments now. FeniX has put himself into the bot lane. It's the 1-3-1. Lourlo up in the top lane, once again fighting off Seraph, who doesn't seem to really need much magic resist, just the Spectre's, the Mercury Treads rather, that's it. And going Rod of Ages into what I assume to be a Lich Bane second. So.
And he's trying to max out his Null Sphere second to get a bigger magic damage shield for these trades with Lourlo. He did max up the Force Pulse for wave control to try and split there. Now he definitely does have that assassination potential, plus that teleport we talked about is available. We'll see though, because a lot of vision work has been put in here by Team Liquid. Teleports come through.
Okay, here comes the play. Knock from Hakuho. Matt in the front lines. Ulti pop, running out of health, but he's going to stay alive for now. Quick 2-man knock up on Hakuho and Lod. The knock in from Gragas, and that's going to be a dead Braum. The re-engage on Lourlo doesn't mean too much. He's going to stay alive on this high magic resist Ekko. Getting whittled down, but he's going to survive the Voidlings. Only 100 HP left on him. TP is down. Ulti actually won't do much healing for him anymore. It's been too long since he took the damage. Yeah, gotta disengage.
Gotta watch out for that damage over time here from Malzahar. The pool on the ground, a lot of people were stepping in the pool. There were also 3 Voidlings up, as well as the Malefic Vision. So a lot of extra damage given, even though Team Liquid secured the kill. EnVy get priority in mid lane and are going to take some territory back for themselves. Now, that is not the first turret gold, so it's not going to be that huge boost, but it is going to open up the map a little bit.
All right, looks like they're going to be okay for now. Mid lane traded finally back. Of course, Liquid did get first turret gold, and the lead is actually getting bigger and bigger. Liquid pretty good at closing out the games that do have leads in, and this seems to be probably another likely situation for Liquid here.
Yeah, I mean, that is one of those main questions we are thinking about. Trying to stack up the dragons is definitely going to help them do that. Mountain and Infernal, really good combination here. Puts a lot of pressure as they transition over to the Baron area. As of right now, though, Lourlo gonna play a little bit safe. Doesn't want to give up his life for this turret, but wants to delay it as long as he can.
This is still a good play from EnVy, though. You're seeing that you're keeping their heads in the game. They're playing it very intelligently. They knew Liquid was probably looking for this Phreak, and they put a lot of effort towards the top side of the map. They're able to trade a turret for a dragon as a losing team. There's almost never a better play you can make when you're behind, so I have to give props for EnVy for what looks a bit simple, but is actually a very, very smart choice, and many teams have missed this opportunity.
Seraph gonna go in for a pretty good exchange here on FeniX as the split pushing is taking its toll on the turret, and that will be another one here for Team Liquid as they continue to snowball. EnVy having a hard time getting this game back under control. Need to switch priorities now to defensive vision as they're losing all of their outer turrets. Then you try and catch somebody out, as Team Liquid are more naturally now going to spread out and kind of expose themselves. So it is up to the Kassadin to come around for a flank. You know, they do have Sivir, they have extra speed, and Jhin is, yes, a very good early game champion, but is vulnerable to a Kassadin. You know, can be closed on pretty quickly. And we'll see if Team Liquid have any hiccups or if they are able to you know, group up and push that down.
Sure, and to talk about Jhin being weak to a Kassadin potentially, he did not go for the more risk-averse build. He went for the full Duskblade. He went for the higher damage option. Could have easily gone Model on Morty's, but no one would fault him for that choice. But instead, opts away from the MR. He's doing the build we've been seeing from Jhin's more recently, which is going for a rapid-fire cannon or a static shiv as the third item, getting the crit and attack multipliers in instead of getting the third armor fin item.
I think that this is 90 times out of 100 the better way to go.
Yeah.
And this, the only thing it does require is trusting your teammates, right? Because they do have a Gragas and an Alistar that are there to peel the Kassadin. So he's just trusting that, yes, they will be able to do their jobs. I don't have to worry about defensive items. You know, I'll have to worry about killing the Kassadin after Alistar knocks him out.
Sure, yeah, and it helps kind of round out the build as well, because many times you'll hear people talk about the armor pen Jhin build and say, oh, once you get a bunch of armor tanks, you front load, you get a frozen heart in front of his bullets and you're fine. But if you actually start critting your normal attacks and your damage actually gets a bit better DPS wise, it starts to look a bit better against these tanks. So it'll round him out quite nicely as well. And when you've got people like Hakuho and Procxin trying to tank the shots, it'll work better. Procxin going for a more damage-focused build. Also, keep in mind, he's finished the Mechanic Hydra as his first major combine after the Cinder Hulk, so not as much utility. Hakuho is, of course, getting the Locket for himself. That's going to be useful. Double AP on both these sides as far as the solo winners are concerned.
I would expect Matt actually to go that route as well.
Yeah, that's what those Ruby Crystals are for, almost definitely. Just slower on the build. Hakuho a little bit richer.
Here comes the switch over to the Baron Pit that we were prefacing before. Vision being laid. Matt trying to get into that red quadrant so that they can get to that bait. Always got to respect the Jhin as well.
Looking for the play onto Lot. Sivir running out of health. There comes the knockout party, and they've already picked off one. A nice explosive cast, and Hakuho's in a bad spot as well. Dies to the Duskblade trigger. Nicely done. Jhin now unstoppable. 5-0 and 3. Liquid continue to find several more kills in their opponents.
Yeah, and it looks like they're just going to try and take another turret as well. Split push is going in their favor. On the other side, with the Vladimir, FeniX has teleport available, so Team Liquid looking to get 2 turrets, each on opposite side of the map right now. Top and bottom taking some damage, and Seraph slowly getting whittled down and forced out.
All right, yeah, pushed away. FeniX has been actually continuing to make headway on this side lanes. No one's been able to stop him. You were seeing earlier in the game, EnVy looked for the plays on FeniX. There were several gank attempts. None of them paid off. In fact, one of them was a 0 for 2 as they got picked off on the way out. And FeniX now been able to sit in the bottom lane. Bot lane outer died because of him. Bot lane tier 2's almost dead because of him as well.
Yep. All right, let's take another look at this collapse as Lod very far up versus Lourlo, and they had no vision. Lourlo almost takes care of him all by himself. Then the rest of the team comes in, and there's definitely going to be no escape. And Team Liquid with a pretty good cleanup here. I mean, yes, there were a lot of questions, you know, floating around with Team Liquid with all the Procxin squads they're doing, you know, bringing in all these subs, and people are like, oh yeah, it almost kind of feels like a clown car. Who else is in the Team Liquid roster, right? They've got this sub, now we got a mid lane jungle sub. But honestly, there are also a lot of questions for Team EnVy. We haven't seen them play for so long.
Yeah.
And Team Liquid definitely off to a very good start for them.
Yeah, it's actually the new guys who have the best statistical score lines on Liquid, right? You've got a 12 KDA Gragas and you know, 8 out of 15 no deaths Jynthe. Like, that's pretty solid.
Yeah, which is very good for the confidence of these guys moving into the rest of the best of series. Team EnVyUs definitely not out. They have played a long series before. And doesn't look like Lod is going to get his very quick 3-0, but he's definitely willing to work for it as well.
I mean, he might get the 3-0, just not the way he was hoping. We'll see. There's of course a lot. I'm just saying, it's just a joke. A lot of time still to go. FeniX now going to ult it up by Ninja, hoping for a bit of teammate support as Seraph joins the fray as well. There's Vladimir in a 1v2, likely to get run down, has the self-heal, but now it's just going to be too much damage. He will get taken out. Ninja gets himself the pick-off, but it's Liquid looking to Baron.
That's what we're talking about when Team Liquid spread out. EnVy going to collapse here, use that assassination. Now they teleport in.
Okay, it'll be a 4v4. It's going to be a late show up for the Malzahar. Sivir ulti in, a slow from Seraph looking for damage, but Matt pops the ult. He'll stay alive for now as the team runs away from the curtain call. And no reception at the very end there as Procxin's going to dodge away from that final shot. Envy now with a bit of a tempo lead, 23 seconds on FeniX's respawn, and they caught him off. Oh, with several flashes for Liquid not to get picked off right there. That was a nice cutoff by Envy, but it still means they have this huge wave. They've got a cannon. They have some chances to deal damage to the turret.
And that's actually a very important flash. The Alistar flash is a huge playmaking tool for Team Liquid and for Matt, especially being the point man. Here we go, though. No minions. They're trying to burn down the turret. It gets the extra armor, and Lon away!
Thankfully, he has armor. That could have been real risky. And it's Envy forced to run away. Sadly, did not get as much as they wanted, but here comes the FeniX flank. He's home guarding in. This could be Lourlo closing out the game on this fight because they've caught off Ninja, and that is a dead Malzahar. Jynthe is dominating, and in the back lines, yes, FeniX picked off Seraph as well, so it's a 5v3, and Liquid have a lot of room to play with.
I mean, the minion wave is coming up mid, but the top lane is already there with like a triple minion wave stacked on the inhibitor turret already.
This is going to be a lot of damage. I think inhibitor at least 30 seconds on the solo laners to respawn. 5 versus 3. Health bar is big enough that Envy can't push them off. So the real question is exactly how much does Liquid get? 20 seconds now on the respawn timers. The inhibitor is going to go down, and their motion is going backwards, and they will retreat. Should be no threat from the Envy squad. Their teleports are down, and Liquid can easily reset, drop the wards, and if they recall now, they can actually show up in time to contest Baron if Envy want to try to rush it.
Definitely agree. They're clearing out a couple of the wards as they leave. Didn't quite see that pink, but they've got most of the control here. Let's see, no sweeper. Oh, Matt does have his sweeper as well. He could sweep on the pixel bush, and I think they just pinged it. Not going to be the case, though. Envy, try and get something back, though. You know, remain cool. Like you talked about before, always looking for that objective to trade, even though this time it's a much lesser objective. Got to take what you can get.
Yeah, absolutely the case. We watch this fight again, and it's the chase back by Liquid. Envy overstep going for mid lane tier 2, and here comes the dive.
Lourlo goes in for the flash to try and get that slow, plus sets up Jynthe for the snare. Good deadly flourish there, allows them to get both solo laner kills. And as you know, turned out being the inhibitor. Now, they've got top lane pressure that's going to happen with the super minions, plus vision control over Baron. And mid lane secondary here is very low already.
Yeah, I think Liquid are going to say, you know, with the inhibitor down, we can probably play the siege game well enough. Not going to risk the Baron attempt, at least not just yet. Mid lane tier 2 is easy. Rapid fire cannon Jhin tends to hit turrets pretty hard, so lock in, land the auto attack, walk away. Looks like the pieces of either Infinity Edge or Lord Dominic's Regard is going to be next up, so he's going to have an even easier time knocking down tanks. And after his next 2,000 to 3,000 gold, Seraph in the front line takes a bit of damage. Root's going to land actually on a Hakuho. Takes up a little bit of that, but Envy's going to be okay. No recalls just yet. It's Liquid once again splitting up the map a little here and figuring out what they can take down. Of course, they've got pink ward control over Baron. They're going to start moving members over there. Lourlo does have teleport. FeniX does not. So FeniX is pulled in. Lourlo can stay towards the bottom lane.
Oh, they're coming. Everybody from Envy's coming out looking like they want to take this fight. I mean, this would be one of the last chances you have. Try and steal away Baron, maybe.
Here comes the attempt. Curtain call in. Lourlo on the flank, but he gets almost assassinated. Guardian Angel popped off for this one. Curtain call's now done. Silence is going to land, and they will kill off the Ekko. Hakuho gets one already. Lourlo never got a chance to ult. Jynthe very low as well. Seraph nearly takes him out. It's a 5v4, and Envy want back in. Oh, nearly takes him over the force pulse. He's got so little health. The sniper's not going to land. Procxin can't get it. It's the retreat still, but another 3-man slow out from Seraph. Matt's running out of HP. His ult's going to time out soon enough, and this could be a very big fight for Envy. Procxin trying to land the snipe. There's 2 with so little HP, and sadly cannot pick off those last members of Liquid. But it's a 5-on-3 and the chance to make some plays.
Very big comeback here from Team Envy. Can they complete it and take the Baron? It looks like it's only FeniX going to try and 1v5 in the Baron pit.
It's a bit of a risk. Smite's going to go in, and Lod's going to last hit this one now. It's up to FeniX getting a little bit of damage. Can't kill off Hakuho, and he's going to drop and lose his life. One Nexus turret did die to minions during all of this, so Liquid got a little bit more, but now Envy have the tools to start mounting the comeback.
Definitely a little bit of a hiccup here for Team Liquid as Envy make a very good last stand here. They have to come out and try and contest this. They all turn on Lourlo, immediately burst him down. No opportunity for him to get anything off in that CC chain. And then he's just running out, got the silence on him. Very, very nice. Seraph here goes for the flash while the exhaust is on him. So he disengages, and then he's able to go back in on Kassadin. It's very easy for Kassadin to chase this down. And they get him close enough here. Procxin goes up to get another knockup. And couple of extra kills come in. Luckily for Team Liquid, Arcsecond and Jhin survive there, because that could have been 2 extra kills over in addition to the Baron and the time that Team EnVy have bought. Now remember, Team EnVy also, they have this Sivir. Sivir now, after that fight, does get to that very important 3-item power spike.
Yeah.
And definitely has the possibility of taking over a team fight if left unattended.
Sure. I mean, Liquid's composition for the 5 are fairly short range. You should expect, actually, Ricochet to get very high value in this game. And in terms of games where Sivir does well, this is actually one of the best comps for her to be against. So this could be very, very good for Lod. Ninja, really do want to highlight how perfectly he played that last fight. Lourlo literally never had the chance to cast a spell in that entire battle. Silence into suppression into silence off the Guardian Angel. Had a projectile in the air by the time he revived. Lourlo couldn't have hit R faster if he had tried. And so good stuff by him to set up that whole fight. And now EnVy in the driver's seat, fighting back a gold deficit of 4,500. But you know they can make it happen. Top lane inhibitor respawning roughly now. Should be no more super minis left for Liquid as they look for top lane tier 2 as their primary target. Kassadin splitting the bottom. Seraph does have teleport. He'll be met by Lourlo.
It has also hit the all-important level 16 for Kassadin. Lourlo gonna have to play a little bit defensively. Team Liquid right now just trying to hold on, wait till Baron times out, and EnVy making up a lot of ground as far as the goal difference goes.
And Seraph's actually splitting back and forth, back and forth. He's the only teleport user on his team, so it's a 4-1, and Seraph goes back and forth trying to find which lane to push in. Right now it's mid lane, and the team's gonna rotate. Actually, they could maybe cut someone off. Hakuho gets a teammate to jump to, hops over the wall, and mid lane tier 2 should be dropping rapidly. FeniX can't wave through this, and that's gonna be 1 turret so far picked up in the Baron power play for EnVy.
Remember, Seraph has gone with a more split push build. He doesn't have that Zhonya's to be able to go in for the team fight, rely on the Zhonya's for his reset. Has to use his flash to disengage like we saw the last time.
Yeah.
Now they're just trying to wait that out. You know, try and get as much gold as you can by splitting while you have Baron buff, while you wait for your Kassadin flash to come back up, and try and have another repeat fight.
Absolutely the case. So only a little bit gained by EnVy. Mountain Drake will respawn after Baron times out, and both of these teams have 1 Mountain Drake to their name, so whoever gets the 3rd one gets the edge in terms of killing objectives faster. 10 seconds to go till it spawns up here. Liquid will have priority shoving in the mid lane. Top is going towards Liquid bot lane equivalent.
Yeah, the other big thing is that, you know, setting up for that Drake, Team Liquid have control over Dragon area, so I feel like EnVy doesn't want to fight over this. There's no reason to risk a losing team fight over a late game 2nd Mountain Drake when really the next team fight is going to determine it anyway. That's not a huge difference in how much you're going to be able to kill the objectives. Got to kill the champions first, and EnVy, they make that choice. They don't try and go for the Drake, and they try and get a third.
Great choice. This is absolutely a great choice. Mountain Drake helps you kill turrets, but how about you just kill the turret yourself? And EnVy have brought the game back to 2,000 gold. They were getting slaughtered earlier. This game is completely in fighting distance.
I mean, the ability to turn around a game with one of those late game 30-minute team fights, if you get Baron right after, is just huge, especially for a team like this. You know, late game Kassadin, late game Sivir, they are very well equipped to make a comeback in this game. And now the gold difference is marginal, and it's all about the setup for the next team fight.
Yeah. So Jynthe actually is not going for the more aggressive build. I thought it was going to be Lord Dominic's or maybe an Infinity Edge, but actually it's Hex Drinker, and then Maw Primordius is what that... So the pickaxe just does nothing. That's actually not even part of Maw anymore as of like this year, so he realized late that was the build he wanted to go for. A bit of a mistake by him to buy the wrong item and not kind of predict his path, but he's more worried about not dying to Seraph, which makes sense. This cast is getting very, very big, a lot of farm. Level 17 means tons of damage, and he's got to be able to survive that.
Definitely make that heads up on the fly. Ooh, I got assassinated by Seraph last team fight, so avoid that next time around. They know it's all about the next one, and the difference in that Hex Drinker shield could very well mean a huge DPS increase by surviving.
And Lod, one of the best, well, Seraph specifically, Sivir, one of the very best executioners calling users. It does trigger on physical damage, not specifically auto attack, so Ricochet will hit everybody, and unlike Morel and Amicon does not have the requirement of being low on health, so he's gonna dump the healing down of all these self-healers on Liquid.
And it's really important versus this Team Liquid lineup. I mean, look at it across the board. Ekko, Gragas, Vladimir, and Alistar. Definitely very good against all those champions. Here we go, though.
Bit of damage into Arcsecond down to 2/3. Here comes the chase in. Lob pops the ulti. Here comes the re-engage, though. Procxin gets hit up. Ulti only hits one from Hakuho, and here comes the fight in the back line. Goes Seraph. Gonna pop the Zhonya's. Jynthe quite low, down to 500. Re-engage, though. FeniX gets dropped down. Doesn't get a chance to flash, even plague or anything. Chain CC'd, and the shutdown comes through. That's 3 for EnVy. They're making the late game team fight work. And now Arcsecond has to run for dear life. There's no chance Liquid wins this. It's Lourlo going for the hero play, trying to buy some time, but he can't find anyone to kill. Just running out of HP. GA gets popped, and here comes the pending silence from Ninja, and that's be the kill picked up. Not even a problem. EnVy looking good. 4 for 0 in the 11th hour.
You can see the struggle there, trying to scramble as a late game Jhin versus the Sivir Kassadin late game, and not able to survive there, Team Liquid. They also use the exhaust really early on Ninja. The exhaust is one of the most important things for these late game team fights when you have assassins coming in, you know, to try and take out your AD carry. And Team EnVy, the possibility of the comeback was very real after the first team fight victory, but right here definitely cements it for them as they take control in a very, very big way.
Absolutely. 2 Barons in a row now, and a gold lead for Team EnVy as we watch this comeback team fight.
Let's look at this flank as Lourlo's in the bottom, you can see now, so his channel on the teleport has to take a long time, and EnVy buy time for Seraph, as you can see, to flank on Jhin. Gets right in there, takes the majority of his life. Now he has the Zhonya's completed, so he was able to Zhonya's instead of flashing back out, and Procxin's the one that's able to clean that up as frontline got demolished by Ninja's ultimate there with Malzahar. Get the pool on the ground, you know, melt everybody with that percentage HP. He waited out the exhaust. The exhaust actually didn't do anything there. It just bought him maybe 2 seconds, and Ninja just waited. Then used the ultimate on FeniX, and very clean team fight there from Team EnVy. And this was, you know, the questions that we posed after the very strong early game for Team Liquid.
And they got out team fought several times in a row now, and EnVy now sitting in the driver's seat with his Baron buff. Thing is, they're still missing a Nexus turret. Like, one good team fight, Liquid actually just wins the game by going top. There's almost nothing to stop them, but...
Yep.
Whoa! Engaging Arcsecond, looking for the knockup, looking for the damage up, and they're gonna kick him out. Wow! Another pickup there for EnVy. 5v4 curtain call means nothing to these tanks. Prox with a nice dodge at the end right there. Jynthe doesn't get much done against Seraph either, and as the new wave comes in, someone should walk back and grab the wave, buff it up, make it run faster, and then
I mean, they're opting for the 3-lane split push here, 1-3-1 with RekSai up top, so just cleaning up all that extra gold that's been sitting there. Take down the secondary turret first as they start to whittle away on all 3 inhibitor turrets.
4,500 in the lead as Team EnVy as they push all these waves in. Procxin says, hi, I'm a level 18 RekSai. We're fine here. FeniX, I'm not really afraid of you. Mid lane losing health as well, and Seraph was squaring off with Lourlo.
Arcsecond is up in 8 seconds, though. If they can get him to the fight and EnVy mess up a dive, Team Liquid also could still turn this around. No rush here from EnVy, though. They don't go for a risky dive.
Ooh, they almost got the silence on the FeniX. That could have been a flash knock, but it won't happen right now. Instead, they're going to go in for the inhibitor itself as they push the mid laner away. FeniX out of HP, and that's going to be the first inhibitor kill of the game for Team EnVy as they rotate back into the mid lane as that turret's gone as well. Arcsecond silence, ulted just as soon as he respawns into the chain CC, and deja vu! Arcsecond's gone as fast as his name implies, and now FeniX has to run away as his teammates are all dying around him. It's a 5v2 as EnVy are going to look to close out the first game of the series in a pretty incredible comeback win. Seraph playing his 20th champion of the split, the Kassadin. Pretty instrumental in the win as FeniX running out of HP. A quick trade kill comes in for Lourlo as he tries to fight for his Nexus to keep it alive, but as Zhonya's buys a bit more time. Down he goes, a rampage for Lod, and there's just no one left to keep FeniX in this game. His Nexus will fall without him, and that's going to be 18-18, game 1 for EnVy.
Team EnVy with a massive comeback there, and it was all off of their focus on Lourlo. When Team Liquid came over to try and flank, Great CC chain there from Ninja. They locked him down from 100 to 0 in the Guardian Angel. Then after he got back up from the Guardian Angel, silenced again. And that was the start of the entire comeback there. 2 teamfight victories in a row, 2 Barons in a row for Team EnVy.
Yeah.
And the late game teamfight comes through.
Late game teamfight come through, absolutely. Highest damage in the game was actually the Seraph. Kassadin did more than Lod, did more than Ninja. Ninja was actually number 2 there on the Malzahar. And really, that's what it came down to. He's like, all right, yeah, we're ready for this Kassadin counter pick. But it's actually the top lane counter pick. And just kidding, you're also playing Malzahar here. And those guys did absolutely incredibly. And it looked like EnVy said, yeah, Liquid, we know your champ select. We know you love this Vladimir. That's fine. We'll pick both counter picks. Set them in both lanes and go after
Team
it.
EnVy's got this long list of different assassins and champions that people are always like, Team EnVy, what are you doing in Champ Select? But as soon as they have success with Kassadin, everyone's like, Seraph?
When it works, they're geniuses. When it loses, they're tilted. The way the internet works. But a huge game 1 win for EnVy. Beautifully done. So now send it to Dash, Crumbs, and Zyrene to break it down.
Thank you very much, Phreak. Big comeback victory here for EnVy in Game 1 after Team Liquid is off to a fantastic series of events that, gets them a solid gold lead there in the first, 10, 15 minutes of the game.
I get the feeling that this is going to carry on throughout the series, which is just Team Liquid. Honestly, they don't know what they're doing in the team fights. Their team fighting is just abysmal. They're not recognizing what the other team is trying to do against them. They're just all over the place, and that's not a good place to be in the current meta that it's all about fighting.
Right. Yeah, and you think about it as well. EnVy had the either 9th or 10th in terms of average game time, so they lose very slowly, which means that they're stalling and they're making it very hard for you to close the game out. And Liquid lost a shot caller when Dardoch was kicked from the team. So now it's just Matt calling the shots. He's going to have to pay attention to everything, and he hasn't had to do that ever because when he's on TLA, he always had Dardoch at his side.
Right, the longer games are going to kind of sway in the favor of EnVy. Now, before we get into this match specifically, I want to take a look at the champion select that came up because it was mentioned by Kobe and Phreak just there. Kassadin top. This is not necessarily something that is considered meta, and they flex it here, pulling in that Malzahar as a last pick, throwing Kassadin up against that melee matchup in Ekko. Seems to have been pretty planned given the fact that they banned out both the Shen, the Gnar after the GP was banned, so they're really pinching that top lane pool.
Yeah, well, the Kassadin top into melees does really well. The W obviously has a lot of damage, and the mana regen helps a lot with the laning phase, but it just is hard to fit in any team composition because right now you usually have that big top lane tank that is able to assist in the team fighting, starting things off, and Kassadin is not that guy. We saw him trying to split push a lot, and luckily for EnVy, they do have a lot of wave clear and stall out to make their late game team fighting a lot better, but the mid game is just so weak with this comp.
Right. Yeah, I think that you're allowed to kind of run these types of top laners again because melee supports are back in, so you can always have 2 tanks, jungler and support most of the time. But it was interesting because I think that speaking about the jungle point, that Arcsecond, he did actually have a really good early game. And without lane swaps being a thing anymore, like the barrier of entry to come into professional play in the LCS is lower because you don't have to have that complex communication. It takes a very long time to learn lane swaps.
Well, another thing about it is that looking at his early game, I mean, I don't want to put any flack to him, but it looked like it was just a series of coincidences that went really good for him.
Lucky.
And he just appeared in random places like, oh, here's a kill. Show up to a gank top. Lourlo solos him, gets 1 final body slam. He's dead. Shows up bottom on a failed attempt by EnVy, gets a lot of kills. Even one time randomly does a body slam that cancels RekSai ult. There's no way you could have even known that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly. We saw a fair number of kind of micro mechanical mistakes from him, in those ganks, but even so, still being able to secure the kills, which, so as a score line, looking fantastic. Yeah. But we did, and as you mentioned, as the game developed, start to see where the real breakdown was, and that's in the larger communication and team fighting elements here for Team Liquid. I do want to dive into the game itself. Let's take a look at a play that does go in favor of Team Liquid. 10 minutes in, 4 for 2 in the bot lane. As you mentioned, this is EnVy's aggression that Team Liquid will turn.
They have pressure mid lane, so they're sending 2-man bottom, but they didn't know that Arcsecond was going to be there. And immediately Flash goes for a sick play here over the wall, forcing the Flash onto EnVy, but Jynthe is going to go untouched this entire fight, and he's going to be able to clean it up with the help of the turret shot on the AoE from Gragas.
Yeah, and just the second body slam coming in there for the extra stun, and then just the finishing off moves there. It was also interesting to note that the teleport was actually channeled from Lourlo. Seraph comes over the wall, uses the casting Q, which interrupts channels, and stopped the teleport, but then didn't opt to use his own teleport to join the fight afterwards.
Right, so leaving it very much as a 4v4 going in favor of Team Liquid. 3 kills picked up by Jynthe there. So again, the other newest addition to Team Liquid off to a good start in terms of kills. But now we have to kind of decipher how exactly they weren't able to turn this lead into a victory.
So they never protected him, even though he was the best, the most fed member on the team. And the only game plan that ND seemed to have had is, all right, Kassadin, kill Jhin. They never peeled for him. It was only until the last fight, but it's already too late. You can't let Kassadin dish out the DPS because there are a lot of diving tools. There's a Sivir ultimate. There's RekSai that can help out. There's Malzahar Voidlings that can push through the front line, and they just never were there for him, and you can't expect him to self-peel.
Yeah, absolutely. 30 minutes into the game, we saw EnVy chasing Team Liquid off the Baron. A big team fight here. This is kind of that big comeback moment for Team EnVy.
Yeah, this is just miscommunication here. Lourlo goes in way too early. The Sivir ultimate is popped, and the 4 damage dealers of EnVy all pull to the right, whereas Hakuho just holds the front line. Then Seraph gets the wraparound and jumps onto Jynthe, and now Jynthe is completely out of this fight. He can't do anything else in it. He can't even like back off and try to use another curtain call because he had used it previously.
Right, and this is to your point, Crumbs, what you're talking about is not identifying the fact that Jhin needs to be protected.
You just saw Kassadin going around to the red side. Where could he be? Oh, he jumped our AD carry and almost one-shot him. Yeah. And this happens in all the other fights as well, where there's no peel. All it takes is, all right, Gragas stick with Jhin or Alistar stick with Jhin, but regardless, you just lost the fight. It's a 4v5.
Yeah, we also got to talk a little bit about itemization, I feel, Irene, when it comes to playing against a double AP threat team in the Kassadin as well as Malzahar with significant lockdown from that Malzahar. We didn't see very many QSSs come out. In other regions, we've seen QSS second item against Malzahar, sometimes even first, and it's not happening here. We saw only one picked up by FeniX much later in the game to no avail.
Yeah, so in the beginning, we saw EnVy go for a 2-man roam. Seraph roam from top into the mid lane, trying to make a play onto the Vlad. They immediately focus him, and they realize we don't have the damage for it. There's a QSS, there's a Negatron Cloak, and a Spectre's Cowl, and we're thinking, okay, that's going to be a QSS. This lane is over for Malzahar, but no, it turns into an Abyssal, which doesn't make a lot of sense because you usually want Abyssal into a double AP, not just the tanks.
Right.
And that itemization just made it so difficult for him to be able to split push in the side lanes through Malzahar, as well as team fight properly.
Let's push forward to our last replay, 36 minutes into the game in the top lane. This is a 4-for-0 for EnVy. Once again, we run into this situation where just a little disjointed in our fights. Jynthe is going to get picked on by Seraph one more time.
Yeah, it's like FeniX uses Tides of Blood at the start, don't know what he's doing except wasting HP, runs at Hakuho, throws out another, and he gets ultied here. Where's the QSS, right? It's not coming out there, and he dies without even using ultimate. No Hemo Plague comes out, and no ability to try and turn the fight.
Yeah, we saw Jynthe get just destroyed by Seraph on the back end during that time. Arcsecond having to dedicate his resources to attempt to save him. Doesn't work.
All they have to do is just hug this guy. He can kill everybody with a distance. That's why you use Jhin with a range advantage over Sivir, but we never saw it. And I mean, EnVy did a great job with the flanks, with the vision as well.
And this is absolutely disgusting. Just look at that damage dealt. The Vladimir damage, very low, whereas the Kassadin, highest damage in the game, and he's just getting the backline access. He's able to get on Jynthe every single time, and that's what was blowing them up, is the Vladimir wants to dive. The Ekko was also diving. We saw fights where he was flanking, and then Alistar is usually trying to start off the fight as well. So they're just leaving Jynthe out to dry, and the Kassadin just blows up your back.
It's a really frustrating time to be an AD carry where your entire team is leaving. You're like, guys, I need peel. Where are you? And then they just look at him like, dude, you gotta take care of yourself. What's going on?
Well, that's the thing. Jynthe cannot do that on the champion that he was given, and so you look at him and go, well, I'm sorry, your scoreline looks as bad as it does, but it's not your fault, right? As long as he's calling for the peel and letting people know that he needs it, it's on the rest of the team to kind of make that adjustment. We've got to take a quick break, but stay with us because the NA Regional Qualifiers will continue after this.
The North American Regional Qualifiers begin as Liquid takes on Team EnVy, and it's time to hit the rift. Flash pulverized into the headbutt, and Ninja's caught up, but he's staying alive. Matt's running out of health. He's not level 6. One more hit, he'll do it, and Lot gets the final attack, but here comes the re-engage. It's too much AoE. This could be a tragedy now for Liquid.
I'm marking mid, I'm marking mid. I'm gonna be in orange. I'm gonna be in orange in 5.
No flash Malzahar. I'm coming to Malz. I can ult.
I'm on blood ulti. Blood. We got him.
Outside.
Ali.
I got a Jhin. I'm going.
Nice.
Game 1 for EnVy. Team EnVy with a massive comeback there.
Dark is going out. So seems like looking pretty weak right now. Because the only one consistent player is FeniX, I guess. But the really good advantage of Team Liquid was mid and jungle synergy. But jungle is like pretty new guy. So I guess they lose their identity.
And it's been interesting kind of seeing Liquid play so far because we're definitely seeing the shot calling go missing. Right? Their late game not nearly as good, the synergy broken apart. But Arcsecond as an individual contributor actually looked great in the first 30 minutes of that game, getting tons of ganks off and setting Lourlo ahead.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely was set up for success there in a lot of the plays and cleaning up a bunch of kills. But it looks like some of our fears have been confirmed, at least in game number 1 here for Team Liquid roster. Right. As we talked about with a bunch of new guys and losing the main shot caller was definitely going to have some trouble in the late game, and that did show. Yeah. Now, EnVy, they did win a lot of the team fights later on, and the assists per kill for Team EnVy were actually a full assist higher than Team Liquid. So a lot more teamwork there, as reflected in the stats, as well as what you saw in the end of the game.
Exactly. It's my favorite stat for kind of breaking down how a team plays. It was 2.78 assists per kill for EnVy, 1.78 assists per kill for Liquid. So it kind of shows you what their kills looked like. They tended to look like team fights. And also, to sing the praises of a player, Seraph went off, of course, on Kassadin. Highest damage in the game, 947.7 damage per minute, extremely high.
Now remember, another reason why the assists per kill are going to be higher for Team EnVy is they were losing a bunch of the early game. Early game is where solo kills happen and duo kills happen. Team Liquid, they had strength in the early game. They had a bunch of isolated skirmish victories. And that also contributed to that stat. Meanwhile, though, let's take a look at this. We got pretty much the same bans, actually.
Exact same bans.
Team Liquid on the same side as well, because Team EnVy, they did get choice for this pick ban phase, and they decided they wanted red side, so they can get that double pick on the counter side. Plus, they also get to hide their last counter for sure. Maybe switch up some champions through the different lanes. They're a huge fan of flex picks, to a fault.
Yeah, and sometimes to their gain as well. I mean, you're right that sometimes it does go wrong. So far, the exact same pick and ban coming through. The run back is here. Ekko being hovered, and look at this, more similarities. The same comp so far allowed. Actually, no, some differences, of course. Instead of the RekSai being grabbed up, as now the Gragas saying, okay, Arcsecond, you can play Gragas. What else can you play?
You had a lot of success there on the Gragas. The thing is, RekSai is even easier to play than Gragas is. So
sure,
I'd say he should be happy to play RekSai. No opportunities for the ultimate to miss because you can only use it if you click on a tunnel.
It's true. You can ult the wrong place.
I mean, you also get passive attack speed, so I guess you can use it without doing anything.
As long as you hit Control R. Congratulations using ultimate properly. Well, we'll see what else changes up. Still the early priority on Braum, which I always like because he's good against Sivir. I think if Sivir's allowed, you should put some priority on that champion because he breaks up Ricochet. But even still, I think Sivir a great champion. We'll see if it comes through. Last time around, Liquid would have rather played Jhin. We're going to change that up and actually go Bard Sivir here.
All right, so they steal away the Sivir from Lod, and they do pair it with another very good assister here, Bard in the bottom lane, going to create some more plays. Matt's Bard was one of the things that got him a huge amount of notoriety in the North American LCS, and one of his most praised champions. We'll see if this is going to be enough to turn it around for them. There definitely are possibilities of cross-map plays with the Bard. You're double ranged as far as, the 2v2 lane, trying to play into Braum, try and abuse him early on, make use of the side lane brush to get off a lot of extra harass, whittle him down. Definitely have to respect the kill pressure, though. Lucian Braum, one of the old school kill pressure duo lanes there, especially with Procxin on the Gragas. Proxin's been one of those guys to take some oddball gank routes and gank early and often with that champion.
For sure. It's worth pointing out an interaction that Braum has with Sivir is that even if you spell shield the 4th hit of the Braum passive, it doesn't go on cooldown. He can just re-tag you and stun you right afterwards. So if you're stuck in a scrappy battle, you're gonna get stunned at some point by that Braum.
I mean,
so life can be hard, and we actually have the Kassadin coming back through. So Liquid saying, I think we can pick better. 2 Kassadins in a row.
Will it be better, though? Let's see here. FeniX did have a very good individual performance, and we didn't expect anything less from FeniX, right? As an individual player, has been great for the majority of this LCS split, and also had another good game last time around. This time, though, he'll be in the counter matchup. The roles have swapped here. Ninja taking the Vlad. And this time, FeniX will get to try his hand at assassinating the back line.
What if we're in a world where it's actually still top Kassadin and Ekko goes mid?
I mean, it could very well be. I don't see the reason to do that because they're both, assassin, melee, EP champions, and Lourlo has so much more time on Ekko than he does on Kassadin.
Agree completely. I think it makes a lot of sense. Last pick comes through as Aurelia for Seraph. Last time around, he played Kassadin as the counter pick. This time, Kassadin taken, of course, off the table. Liquid said, no, you can't. That's going to be our champion. So he moves down the tier list, I guess, to the Aurelia here. He hasn't actually played that champion very much in the second half of the split. Used to play a lot of split pushers early on in the season. That's tapered off, but he's now back with the Aurelia here in the regional qualifiers, up 1-0, hoping to make it 2.
Question is, will he build it like Ray builds it? Dust Blades.
Unlikely.
And go full assassination damage. Definitely unlikely. I think it's very funny here that this pick ban's Team Liquid have basically stolen away the strategy that EnVy used in the previous game, taking away the core of Kassadin and Sivir, with a little bit of augmentation here with the Bard to be able to set up these plays.
Yeah.
It's really scary. If Bard ult lands, there's a Kassadin, Sivir speed boosted dive comp coming at you.
Yeah.
Pretty soon.
One thing that I think is very good for Liquid here, though, as we get ourselves into the second game, is they've picked champions that will just work better in the late game, where if they already assume they're going to be better at ganking, they're going to win their laning phase, they're going to get that 5,000 gold lead at 30 minutes or so. Well, now their champions are suited to actually push that advantage forward and close the game out instead of getting outscaled, and so some of the weaknesses might be covered up by their champ select as we get ourselves into game 2 as Liquid hope to make a comeback against EnVy, who squeaked out game 1.
Meanwhile, Team EnVy looking to cement that 3-0 that Lod was proposing in his video.
Yeah, push it forward. It's definitely the hope that EnVy can close this out, hide their counter picks, hide the rest of their strategies, and show up tomorrow refreshed and ready to go against Cloud9.
I mean, that would be one of the most epic Gauntlet runs. And this is coming from a region where we had the Cloud9 run where they went all the way.
I was going to ask you, actually, if either EnVy or Liquid do make Worlds, is that more or less impressive than the C9 run?
Oof, I mean, the C9 one was really epic, but with C9 being higher than EnVy now in this Gauntlet, like C9 and Immortals right now it's just kind of assumed that will be the last game of the Gauntlet
losses,
because both of those teams already shown in playoffs that they are, putting in a ton of work right now. And, part of the reason why EnVy and Team Liquid are considered so much underdogs in the Gauntlet is not only their finishes, but also, I guess we haven't seen them in a long time, so we haven't seen any improvements, whereas we've seen on screen the improvements that Cloud9 has made from the regular season to the postseason.
Just watch Impact for the last couple of weeks, and you're like, okay, this is going to be hard.
If it was just that one player, everything else, I'd say that, All right, we are going to have delayed invade to stop this Gromp, though. Let's see, will they be able to finish it? They're actually staying on in a long time. Stayed on it very long here. They're not respecting. They saw him come in here to try and...
All right, time to earn a little bit of gold. Oh, he's going to get it! Yes, he is! Unlucky. Matt swags away and goes, I don't want to get queued. He might get queued. Ooh, what a great stun, though. Flash auto, okay. Matt's still in danger.
My life for the Gromp!
Exhausts Lod, might have to flash away. Hakuho doesn't have his own flash. Q's not gonna land.
Chase him down, tilt! Heal, flash!
And EnVy are gonna miss half a minion wave. They're gonna lose all the health they lost from fighting the Grom. And Jynthe is quite far ahead.
Jynthe got solo experience on the first wave. Plus, Matt's not even behind because he got Gromp experience. Stealing the Gromp.
They're both
This is Sivir with control of the lane. It is Sivir paired with a ranged champion to also try and harass you as she has control of the lane. And Team EnVy, almost always when people place a defensive ward and they start the Gromp and they see the enemy come in to try and harass them on Gromp, almost every single time they'll stop and they'll say, oh, you know what, we're not going to take any more damage from this, and they just go to lane. And both teams consent to no jungle starts for themselves. But Team EnVy a little bit stubborn there, and they are punished for it as Matt not only steals the Gromp but baits out an extra summoner. Well, I guess he used his exhaust too.
And right now, actually, Arcsecond is a camp ahead of Procxin. Was already level 3 when he was doing the blue buff steal. Procxin just hitting that level himself. So Arcsecond actually in a pretty good spot himself up a camp.
As we said, you know, RekSai is a more simplistic jungler, a lot easier, especially for someone who recently has switched over to jungling. This would definitely be my go-to champ for pro play. A little bit less early playmaking. We'll see if Procxin can make that up. He definitely still has flash, but he's been seen on that deep river ward from Lourlo, so they know his whereabouts and shouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, shouldn't be too much. We'll see what happens though as Procxin is roaming around in the mid lane. FeniX half HP, level 4, Kassadin already out of potions. But a great ward says, there's someone coming.
And that ward is, I mean, it's kind of expected, right? Because I said they just got seen in the river. They knew he was over there. There's only one place he can go. He just went down from the river. They know he just cleared out that side of the jungle, so good job there. FeniX spies him, and he will not be surprised as predicted.
Arcsecond wastes a little bit of time at the mid lane. Looks like he's going to fight for the Scuttle Crab in the bottom river right now as Ninja pushes the wave in. And FeniX will likely, he will teleport to get back in and not miss too much here. Right now, plus 2 minions for Ninja.
Yep, use your teleport to get back to lane. That's how you shore up Kassadin's laning phase. First teleport doesn't provide a whole bunch of kill pressure unless something crazy happens in one of the side lanes where they're just trading super hard very often. I'd say most of the time you definitely want to use it just to get back to lane and try and get through that lane phase, and it's working out well for him. Was able to refill his corruption potion, add the extra ring here, and try and get to that level 6.
And we'll see what happens. Jynthe and Matt just shoving up in the bot lane right now. They have managed to actually make this lead quite a bit closer than before. EnVy doing a pretty good job in this landing phase of not falling too far behind for how bad the very early game looked. So you don't expect to lose lane being this matchup, and that's the case they're in right now. Jynthe up 4, and Matt up the Gromp. Otherwise, a pretty docile game right here. Slight farm lead for FeniX, good for him. Top lane actually going a bit better for Lourlo than it was in the prior matchup. Now that he's facing Aurelia instead of the Kassadin, and life looks good.
Look at this, good guy Arcsecond brings a pink ward on his first move up to the top side, places it for Lourlo so he can keep pushing Seraph in. As of right now, though, Seraph should actually be able to get a lead in CS, even though he's down right now. There's a large wave at his turret, and Seraph, or Aurelia is one of the best champions at last hitting. Here we go, FeniX not level 6 though.
Only level 5, has the flash, a great flash followed by Procxin. Do they have the damage? Probably not actually. His Q shield was good enough, and Procxin did not have to flash because it meant nothing at the end of it all.
Yeah, I mean, he's not level 6 either. Gragas doesn't have ultimate. That would have been perfect play if he did have ultimate and he could get him back into the lane, but FeniX, he hits level 6 on that minion.
Ninja can heal soon if he doesn't run out of ult. He's gonna wait for it. Oh, just the timing wasn't quite there. Now he can turn back on a Matt. No, he doesn't land it. And the snipe from Arcsecond, his second first blood in 2 games.
Oh my goodness, what
Ninja
a heartbreaker for EnVy. That is really rough. FeniX had even given up on that too. FeniX was back to farming, and it was Arcsecond and Matt that actually closed out that play.
Yep.
First 2 games on the LCS stage, 2 first bloods.
Yep.
This guy is a prodigy.
There we go.
Jungle god.
Who even is Dardoch? All I know is Arcsecond's the best jungler Liquid's ever had. Oh, I'm being facetious. Dardoch's obviously a very good player, but
Ruthless Phreak.
I'm hyping up the new guy because it's cool.
I as well, MP.
What's great actually is casting him in the Challenger Series, Arcsecond was really known for playing Seraph and other poke mages. And now you've got a champion who's got a like 1200 range skill shot.
Small ones.
Yeah, Procxin got some of them. So Arcsecond's actually used to sniping people from like halfway across the map in the mid lane. This is like complete comfort zone for Arcsecond.
Yeah, forget about all that playing melees back to back and
no, it's the Q skill shot
and frontline tanks.
That's all that matters. Nah, it's gonna snipe people. AP RekSai coming in.
Regardless, though, he is also doing a very good job controlling the vision. We should talk about, you know, the steps of what would it take if I was a new jungler in the LCS. Well, he's doing just that. Scuttle Crab control. He's got the first line of the vision wards, moving in with the Raptor smite that he smited away from Procxin. That's why he went for the big one, focusing on the health of it, plus able to get the smite away, so you clear out extra vision in that side of the jungle. And, you know, that first line that we talk about is when you just step past the river, but you don't want to step into the second line of brush. Because going into the brush, inside the enemy jungle, that's where you get turned around, you get killed, you get, you know, completely snowball the enemy's lanes in there. Well, actually, FeniX here.
Body slam into FeniX. His Kassadin actually ripped off a couple of times, so his mana pool's not great. is able to slink away, but running out of health, down to half HP as Ninja sustains back up in the mid lane.
Yeah, FeniX just goes and trades with the jungler there over his dead ward. Very angry about it. Bottom side Scuttle Crab going over to Procxin though, as Seraph tries to make quick work of Lourlo. But the passive speed there from Ekko is big.
Big? You could say massive. I think it's
big.
accurate.
I feel like I just had used it, so I didn't want to use it again.
Okay.
Anyways, Lourlo gonna use the ult back to lane, as has come to be expected of him. Plus, he built the phage first, so that's why the speed was big.
Impressive, you mean?
Lourlo doesn't have ult for this fight, by the way. Remember, he just used it to get back to
Seraph
lane.
cannot dodge the stun, though, so Lourlo gonna heal back up a little bit more gradually, and Dying Stun's gonna land, though. Seraph running out of HP, the flash follow, and the second grass comes through. Lourlo, living up to the name of his keystone, takes him out 2-0 with the solo kill.
Oh, man, that is going to be rough for Seraph. He's probably going to have to TP back to lane. Another wave is coming up right now. Lourlo pushing that in. Really strong outplay from the solo laner from Team Liquid. Team Liquid once again, early game going very, very well for them. They got a solo kill with their top laner. Jungler got the first blood. Jungler, look at that. Very nice, docile jungler.
Safe blue buff handoff. Red doesn't steal it. Arcsecond knows the pain. He makes sure he doesn't do it himself.
Just sits there and tanks it. That's
Take notes.
That's the jungler mentality when you were previously a mid laner.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll sit here and tank this blue buff for you as long as you want. Yes, clear another.
Yeah, clear the wave. It's okay.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll be here. I'll hold it for you.
He's going to be okay with that one. It is actually going for... This is interesting. I've seen a couple of junglers do this, but it's the early Jarm's Fist RekSai. Oftentimes we see the Tiamat Rush. Sometimes you see this one.
It's been rising in popularity quite significantly. Jarm's Fist just as a standalone item for the stacking potential, because health is such a good early game stat. Early on, your scaling of just your champion per level, armor and magic resistance, is pretty high, and your first defensive buy should almost always be health. Obviously, it does depend on champion specific, but generally that is the rule. Your first item is health, and that's the way that you get the most out of your defensive. Durability out of your first defensive buy. FeniX here going for a pretty good trade. Does get his Thunderlord's proc, and Procxin waiting to punish him next time he does go for it.
Okay, there's the Rift Walk in, but FeniX has basically 1 million mana at his disposal. The solo Drake take actually got a little bit of help from his team. It looks like they're running over, but Arcsecond has himself an Ocean Drake for the rest of Liquid. Now Hakuho's got to run away a little bit, puts up the shield, jumps back to Lod as they retreat. Snipes don't mean too much, dodges the stun, and they're going to be okay. On the hunt now, on cooldown, Jynthe gets nothing for it.
Regardless, though, look at the massive vision control. Team Liquid, this is the most surprising thing to me. Yeah, they have had success in the early game and they've been getting a lot of these kills, but look, they're putting a lot of time and effort into controlling the jungle. And I have to say, Arcsecond, you know, he gets smiley faces or gold stars, basically, across the early game here.
Right now there are 5 wards past the river that Liquid own right now. That is very, very good for any stage of the game, let alone before 12 minutes right here. So a lot of vision to track Procxin as the early game's looking great.
And we'll look at what that's doing for Team Liquid. As okay, we have aggression in the bottom lane, and there is no Sivir ult, so they have to take the culling and take a bit of harass. However, some hot cocoa lying in the bushes, and potions being chugged by both.
Does the body good. Seraph once again trading up with Lourlo that wants to take this fight. He knows the W's on cooldown right now and gets a very nice chunk down. Lourlo at half.
Oh, move in here from Arcsecond with the teleport as well. Hakuho's pretty low.
The TP attempt. What can they get for themselves? Lourlo at half HP looks for the stun. Get a lot of damage on a Lod, and there comes the reset from the Bard ultimate. Lod's not going to go anywhere with this one. There's the kill picked up. Jhin makes it the third of the game for Liquid as they sit 2,000 gold up right now. FeniX gonna help them kill a ward, and this turret could go down.
Yeah, the other great thing about these deep wards that Team Liquid are putting in, you can teleport on them. Yes, I can scout the enemy jungler. I can counter the plays you're trying to set in motion. Plus, my top laner, who's getting solo kills and controlling top lane, also gets to come down. They get the turrets gold. Yes, first turret's gold there for Team Liquid, in addition to the lead in kills that they have. And even though that does cost Lourlo a pretty decent amount of CS, honestly, it's definitely worth it. You get that first turret bonus, and your bottom lane has complete control.
And they made sure they donated it all over to Jynthe. 650 to him personally as we watch this dive again.
All right, so Hakuho is obviously going to be the target. Flashes away that Burrow, very good job. But Lourlo just on the edge was gonna get the stun, not gonna happen, so Matt covers it up. Bard ultimate just on top of it. Good slight overlapping there of the two zoning spells, and they are able to find it. Meanwhile, FeniX has been just blasting Ninja in the mid lane in this matchup.
Oh man.
The junglers have been scouted so heavily that was pretty easy for Kassadin to trade really aggressively in that matchup and make a... Ooh!
Uh-oh, Lourlo. Yeah, ults back for the heal, gets some damage on a Procxin who flashed away. Doesn't quite get stunned, but it's going to be enough anyway. Lourlo gets the kill on a Procxin, and now it's poor Seraph underneath the turret. Jynthe has aggro. He's going to get hit up. One more hit will do it. He's going to get the kill picked up. Jynthe pulled aggro, screwed it up, and went down. Still a double kill for Lourlo, not the worst in the world. 5-1, top lane turret under fire.
I mean, Lourlo was pretty low also, and he had already used his ultimate, so there was no, like, super tank. Exactly. Meanwhile, though, let's take a look at the bottom lane.
The flash chase. FeniX almost gets logged. One more hit will do it, but the knockout comes through, and they're going to turn it around. The retreat comes in. Arcsecond gets his second snipe of the game. Both kills with the Prey Seeker.
Teleport there, or Ninja actually just ghosting to walk down there as fast as he could, but he's too late. Nothing for them to clean up but minions. And man, the counter kill actually was pretty good for Envy. This game is definitely slipping away from them, just like the first one.
Yeah.
The thing is, you don't want to let that huge gold disadvantage build up, because this time around, Team Liquid, as you pointed out in Champ Select, they are the ones with the Sivir. They are the ones with the Kassadin. You know, they're going to be running you down over those neutral objectives. Vlad, though, takes a lot of damage while trying to take down the turret. This counter kill is pretty impressive, though. He sticks around, relying on Hakuho. His stun, the potion being chugged right there is what keeps him alive long enough to get those autos off. And then Hakuho had the good knockups there. Prey Seeker, though, finds another victim.
He's going to land the Q, and Jhin is already spell shielded as well. Not going to get the stun thanks to Hakuho's shield itself as the flash chase comes in. Two-man Temper Fate from Matt, and going to get away from the explosive cask as well. So a safe retreat by Liquid. Yes, they break some stuns, and the last shot comes through Seraph with the max range Transcendent Blade from downtown, picks up the kill. And trading it back a little bit, but it's still a 3,000 gold deficit for Envy. They've got to make a lot of ground up right now. Looking at the mid lane for their first turret, maybe, but FeniX has so much damage, clears the wave, nothing to be done.
Oh man, that was actually very surprising that Lourlo was going to go down there. He does. Oh, FeniX actually loses his blue buff off the back of that as well. Good thing for Team Liquid, though, their top turret not going to go down because the minion wave was pushed up, and Seraph cannot stick around to finish it off.
So a tight game for sure. Bot lane going back and forth in kills and farm. There was a moment where Lod had the lead. That traded back around thanks to the double kill down there and the turret and everything else. Liquid looks good. Infernal Drake spawning in just 40 seconds right now. And TL with the lead. 2,500 gold up. Likely to be the ones in control for that. The Ocean Drake helping a lot as well. Early Ocean Drakes are just absolutely insane for making your laning phase look good. And infinite mana, a nice benefit of that.
I feel like this is the best Drake curve. Ocean into Infernal. Here we go, though. This is that top fight. Lourlo even had the red buff. He's fighting in the cannon minion wave. A lot of minion damage, actually, there. Be very curious to look at that recap, because he's tanking 2 waves worth, and he actually went right back into that stun. Seraph's like, okay, I'm happy to fight you with my 2 sets of ranged minions plus cannon and just stun you up. Lourlo doesn't realize till too late. Gonna lose this 1v9?
Yeah, 1v9 if you count them as... we had discussions earlier about minion rights, and if they count as full, you know, full champions.
They definitely don't count as full. So maybe if you have 3 waves.
All right, that's like each wave is a champion. It's like a 1v2.
Here we go, though. There's the Infernal Drake. Seraph gonna teleport in, and it's fight!
A bit of a team fight. Matt taking a lot of damage. One more health to it. They're gonna knock him down. Seraph gets one already, and now Jynthe in a whole world of trouble, and a bunch of kills now coming through. How much more can they get? It's a double already for Seraph. He's got flash available. Liquid running away. The nice Q from Hakuho after the flash. Lourlo's gonna jump over the wall.
He also has his ultimate, so I don't know if that flash was really advised, but Team Envy are gonna try and get a turret off of this. Minion wave control is
really
the objective
small, though.
here.
It's not going to be enough. The tank does watch out. Ninja could get stunned. He might have to pull, and he will do so. Hakuho quite injured. Is there much more of a chase for Liquid? FeniX, wants to go in full health bar. Lourlo gets stunned up, and oh no, that was way more than he wanted to bite off right there. The second time Lourlo dies for phase diving in.
I don't think they were communicating that, because it looked like Lourlo was just playing off of FeniX's actions rather than pre-planning that re-engage. Kassadin had already turned around, just going for some poke there, and Lourlo went for the kill. But let's take a look at the first kill. Matt was CC'd down as he got culling. Good little dodge there by Lod as well to get out of the parallel convergence. And now we're all over the place.
And that, I believe, was a 3-for-1 long form right now. The Drake's still alive, so someone else could pick that up in the near future, but the gold has been chopped back down to an only 800 difference. And once again, Liquid get a ridiculously good early game, and then a team fight happens, and EnVy bring it back to equal.
Pretty much. Vlad here is going to curve out a little bit quicker than the Sivir as well. See if he can stay afoot. He is in a more self-sufficient AD carry as well.
I do think, though, to hit the point again that we had before, is even though EnVy are playing the mid game better, I do think the scaling still does lie with Liquid. That this is not the same as game one where, oh, EnVy tied it up, they're going to win this one late. I think it still does rest on Liquid's hands.
Definitely a possibility. There are tools that EnVy have that can be used really effectively. As you said, Braum wall, that's always great against the Sivir. You can try and destroy the Ricochet, and then Lucian is a much more, as I said, self-sufficient AD carry than Jhin, say, from the last one, so a little bit less susceptible to Kassadin. We'll see how well Lod can play it and how well his front line can also play it, because it is very much a team effort. Try and defend team fights against Kassadin.
For sure. We are actually seeing a more assassin-focused build from Seraph. He's going Youmuu's Ghostblade second. Maybe it is going to be Dusk third after all. Normally we see things like Ruin King in that kind of build. Not going to be the case here.
Gotta say, I love what Ray has done to the top lane itemization builds.
Duskblade and everyone.
Duskblades, full damages. All right, here we go, though. Infernal Drake number 1. Because the last time they started off, we're unable to finish. This time around, success for Team Liquid. They claim Drake number 2 for themselves. And even though the gold lead has disappeared, the Drakes remain, and they still have those bonuses.
And we'll see how much more they can get, because Liquid are playing pretty fast right now. No one is here to really stop the bot lane. There's a bit of a flank coming in. Braum to the left-hand side. Liquid gonna have to disengage for this one. Big Hemo flank. Dive for Ninja. W's in and has to retreat, though. He's gonna catch a bit of a heal. 800 health back in for this one.
Huge Hemo plague, but there's no damage to put on top of the damage amp there. Team Liquid are able to kite right back out. They trade ultimates. That was the Sivir ultimate blown to kite it back out. And we'll see what they get when they stick around here.
Attempted blue buff. Looks like it went over to Procxin on EnVy, though he's wearing a blue himself. Good smite, good barrel. Out they go. Liquid definitely are not wearing blue buffs, so I believe it did go to him.
Big difference here as well. Kassadin build. This time, FeniX is not opting for the Lichbane split push damage that Seraph went for. He's going right into that team fight of the Zhonya's. That team fight playmaking that we talked about for Kassadin allows them so much offensive power when you can go in with the confidence that you can also stasis and wait for the rest of your team to swarm in with the speed from Sivir ultimate. So maybe Team Liquid look to push up that timeline where they can try and start taking those victories. Meanwhile, EnVy though, Siege is back on.
And there we go. Bot lane outer turret goes down. Nice split pushing by Seraph. Mid lane under fire. Going to stay alive for now, but EnVy now up 1,000 gold. This is really good. They're actually doing very well on this one, making the comeback happen so far. Lourlo doesn't quite get the haste from Seraph. Going to look for one more attempt. Can't get it.
Yeah, Kassadin was trailing him. One of the strategies that I've really been a big fan of for the past year, kind of, is the change where in teams where you have 2 split pushers and in teams where you have double teleports, you can have one trail one of the more common split pushers, right? One of the tank ones, more or less threatening. More or less threatening. That was good.
Good job.
But yeah, and then you have them surprised, right? When the enemy thinks they can take your sort of less threatening split pusher and they try and jump on them. And
surprise, Kassadin.
Kassadin's there in the background, and he's very good at chasing people down. So Kassadin's one of the ideal champions for that strategy.
Yeah, definitely. I want to talk about some more of the sort of synergies here, because I see Kassadin so little nowadays. I kind of want to talk about the interactions we have here. I think both Braum and Aurelia are very good into Kassadin. I think this is part of the reason he's going Zhonya's. Like, Alistar has to, like, consciously pulverize a target, right? And if Kassadin's zipping around, he's got to save the cooldown. Braum just auto-attacks you once, and as a melee champion, you will get stunned.
You've got to consciously auto-attack him, too,
I mean,
right?
okay, sure, but...
hope that all these guys are conscious while...
I actively turn off my monitor when I play League of Legends. This is why I'm losing LP rapidly every week. But, yeah, Hakuho has a very easy job, a relatively easy job of actually CCing FeniX and making his life very difficult in 5-on-5s. Just takes an auto-attack, 1 second cooldown, no big deal, and just more tools that FeniX has to somehow navigate around when you have to land auto-attacks to do your full combo, and Hakuho said auto-attack to kill you.
Assassins definitely don't like crowd control.
True. And we saw actually...
Here it is again, the trailing split pusher play. Can he make it happen this time around, though?
Seraph running for dear life, doing the best he can. Jumped on by Lourlo yet again. Grasp triggers, the slows are there, and FeniX now going to be in range. Flashes for everything else, and oh, Seraph is just going to run out of HP in this one. Flashing over the wall, Lourlo still in the chase. One more phase dive could do it. Gets the Q, Time Warner's going to set it up. There's the shutdown. Nicely done, Liquid, with the trailing Kassadin play. Gets the 2-on-1 kill.
Now they can shove up the bottom lane. They're actually going to have FeniX just recall. They did use both their solo lane flashes in order to get that kill, but they didn't use any teleports, so they can still respond. If EnVy try and collapse on this mid lane push, there are 2 teleports waiting to be used. They don't try and bait them in. They don't really. The minions were all dead and there's no ward, so that's the only reason, really. Yes, you have your teleports, but if there's nothing to use them on, you can't really bait that one out.
So gold going back Liquid's way now. First team to hit 40,000 gold here as bot lane tier 2 goes down. Nice split pushing by Lourlo. You saw a little bit ago, Jynthe very afraid of EnVy's potential fight and kind of burned his ultimate a bit prematurely. So no On the Hunt available for a little while. It will be back up well in time for the next Drake. That shouldn't be too big of an issue as the 45-second timer is all that Liquid needs. Blue trinket, Procxin should probably get this smite. Yeah,
probably.
Nicely done, he gets it.
There is a stage in the game where you really start respecting mage burst and mid laners, and that's why we always talk about, oh yeah, you need a zone for Baron smites and stuff like that. Not quite there with the Rod of Ages and Zonias. Can't quite out-damage the smite yet.
Arcsecond going to Titanic Hydra as well, so more damage coming out of the RekSai, and now FeniX finds 3 enemy champions there. Ooh, dodge the body slam for the flash knockup. It's going to be everything they need. I don't see him getting out of this one. One more hit will do it. Lot gets himself the kill. 2, 1, and 2 for this Lucian. Tying the game back up. EnVy still striking back.
Yeah, he will come up in time for the Infernal Drake. So for Team Liquid, yeah, that always sucks when you give a kill like that, but you know, they do have a Sivir they can try and rotate over for wave clear. And
but will he be in time? This Drone's going to lose a lot of health. Sivir's not there. Arcsecond doing what he can, but he has to respect some of the damage output. And be just a little bit gun shy because they're actually playing the split push game. Seraph is in the mid lane, just soloing that mid lane turret down. Gonna knock it out, and EnVy tying the score up again. And look at the knockback out of Lourlo. He's gonna ult back in, but a couple more attacks will do it. No, Tempered Fate hits him. Will this be the re-engage for Liquid? Damage on a Seraph, quick shield block for Hakuho, and they're gonna be okay.
But if they can whittle them down, you know, chunk out the health bars in preparation for this Drake, that also is a very big deal. Now it's only 10 seconds away for the Infernal. EnVy healing back up in the river, and they have a teleport on Seraph. So Seraph is going to purchase, then come back out onto the field.
And meanwhile, the Ocean Drake Liquid got earlier is helping them stay topped off for this move forward. They're all nice and healthy. Right now playing mid lane priority is Liquid as the Infernal Drake spawns just now. And EnVy say, do we rush Drake? Do we defend mid? And they're gonna waddle over towards the mid lane, but this is a bad choke point. This could be cut off. You can see Matt looking for the stun.
Look at that ward now. Seraph's going on it.
Here comes the Seraph flank. Looking to the back line for FeniX as Liquid runs away, but it's a bit of a disjointed retreat. Seraph's got to run back into the slow into Arcsecond. Watch out for the stun as Lourlo looks for a little bit, and it looks like Seraph's TP means basically nothing.
Definitely a bit disjointed. As you say, pretty hard to collapse on that, though. I mean, the Team Luke squad is very mobile. Uh-oh. They're actually going to try and start up Inferno while defending mid.
It's a difficult call. I mean, Liquid clearly have priority. They can get the chip damage down on the turret. EnVy don't want to let it go. They don't want to trade objectives. They want to fight for this one. Here comes the dive in. Ninja wants Jynthe. Explosive cast doesn't do a whole lot, but it does mean Sivir gets dropped out. 1 for 0 so far. Ninja catches a heal. They're now on to Matt, and Bard goes down. The third kill as well on the backside. Arcsecond drops his life. Now a gold lead for EnVy. It's a 5 versus 2, and they're going for Baron.
Yeah, they can upgrade their neutral objective now. No longer focusing on Dragon. Here comes Lourlo, though. Misses the stun.
Missing the stun. 600 health going back into Ninja's pockets thanks to his empowered Q, and EnVy make the right call to go for the fight. It was tricky, but they made the call. Knockup from Hakuho just trying to buy time because they're saying focus Baron, knock it down. 1,000 health left. Smite is up for Procxin, and he's going to pick it up cleanly. Nicely done, EnVy now sizably ahead.
Good job by all members there. Nice zoning from Hakuho. Able to get the knockup on both solo laners. Doesn't go down. They don't lose anyone in this fight, and they get the Baron afterwards. Jhin spends the entire time just running here. Ninja drive-by kill onto the Sivir, circles around. That was almost all Ninja right there. Just runs through the entire team. Vladimir drive-by, and Jynthe did not get more than a couple autos off. Maybe only one the entire time.
And he, you know, is going for the standard offensive build. I can't fault him for going you know, into the items he's going for here, but he just got worn down so rapidly here.
That's why Ghost is so popular on Vladimir. You know, there is the option, as we saw last game, to take teleport as well and have that extra global, but Ninja making good use on the team fighting there. Able to get huge neutral objectives for the team. Baron and Infernal over to Envy. And once again, we have a game, early game going over Team Liquid. Couple of solo plays, some jungle first blood. Envy takes over in the mid game. More coordination here. And actually, they do not have teleport on Seraph, so Envy has to run for it.
Sivir ulti pop, Liquid pulling the trigger, trying to make the play happen. Lourlo's on the flank, lands a two-man side. Here's a knockout from Arcsecond. This is the fight that Liquid needs, but do they deserve it? It's a two-man temperate fake to make the play happen. Ninja in the front lines, but he's pretty tanky on the Vladimir. Dives forward, puts on the pool. Lourlo running out of health, and now Arcsecond gonna get stunned up. This is now a dead RekSai. No, she's gonna just barely slink away, but here come the reinforcements. Seraph is on. He's here to make some arrests. Looking for the kill. Ooh, on to Matt they go. FeniX in the back lines as well. Trading blows back and forth. A very spread out fight as Hakuho's out of HP, but it doesn't matter. 2 kills picked up, and now FeniX on the wrong side of town. He's not going to get revived for this one. This is going to be Procxin. Dancing around.
No help.
Well, he's waiting for his team. He can't win what's going under
his
FeniX.
His team is not coming. You can wait as long as you want, but Hakuho's only got 100 HP.
No one's around to help him. He's just buying time because the rest of the team running around near the mid lane, near the bottom jungle, and just a strange encounter all said and done.
Trying to trap a Kassadin.
Good luck with that. He's got full mana, and an Ocean Drake's actually giving him some health back. There's the body slam flash, and Procxin gets the officially solo kill.
Patience there.
Yes.
Procxin.
Wow.
Toys with his prey for a little while, corners him against his own base. Meanwhile, though, the reason he had to do that and the reason he had to wait, Laud and Seraph as well were pushing up, and they're trying to get that global gold, make use of the Baron buff.
All right, nicely done. And here we go. A 6,000 gold lead puts Envy in the driver's seat. And once again, they have done such a better job of winning the team fights. Now into bot lane tier 2. The macro play, honestly, just on point for Envy as they grow the lead even bigger.
Eerily similar to game number 1 here, and
yeah,
the map has gone dark for Team Liquid. All right, let's look at this, because this is one of the cases where it was almost Team Envy. Eyes getting a little big here and chasing too many kills at once. They realized, though, that they were starting to lose a couple of the battles. Hakuho got super low. You know, they almost didn't have enough people to send off and chase down all the kills, but then they recoup. They collapse on the stragglers and are able to pick up some more advantages for themselves. Only one outer turret still stands for Team Liquid, and Envy have actually grown this into a very sizable gold lead.
Yeah. 6,500 right now. We'll see if it gets any bigger. Chances are it will. They've been the better team in the late game. Absolutely. Ninja playing the wave clear, no big deal. Mid lane under control entirely. And at this point, you just kind of watch from Envy's perspective and say, what's next for these guys? What's the next objective for them? Because anything they want, they tend to be able to take.
I say go back to the split push. You know, they're sending Seraph. He's got the teleport. He's got 2 levels on Lourlo and FeniX. So
oh, man.
I don't care who you send at this Aurelia. There's nobody that can answer it by themselves. I'm not even quite sure if they can kill him in another one of those trailing solo split pusher plays where they both go. Maybe. It would definitely take them a long time because Seraph also has flash. So very easy for Envy just to go back to the split push, send this massive Aurelia to create some pressure, and the 4-man squad siege up, try and take down the extra gold here.
Well, here comes the potential for a play. FeniX gets a bit of damage, kites back out, and of course, thankfully for Liquid, they've got that Sivir. So the wave clear is there. They can buy a lot of time. Here comes the next wave. Vlad can knock the wave down pretty quickly. There's the boomerang blade, and he hoped that he could see Jynthe get baited by the wave. Not going to happen just yet. They're going to go for it here. And here comes the play. Seraph, 1v2, looks for the play, gets stunned up though by parallel convergence. Plenty of damage into FeniX, who has to cut away, pops the Zhonya's, and Seraph just saying, yep, you're mine. Nope, not gonna get it just yet. Stuns Lourlo instead. Body slam chains in, and suddenly life is bad for Ekko. Ult's back, but he's going into the enemy team, and there's the kill picked up. Envy doing a great job turning it back around. Seraph just does not take enough damage.
Yeah, that's the reason I was skeptical about that 2v1. Yep. Seraph is going to capitalize. Envy are going to take the inhibitor turrets, and they've broken their way into the Team Liquid base.
Nicely done, making it much faster than last time around. It took many fewer comeback team fights. Envy making it look a lot better here. 33 minutes in, middle inhibitor is dead. Envy are poised to make it a 2-0 lead in this best of 5.
Looking to actually deliver on that 3-0 promise, even though opening up in game 1 and even game 2, looked a little questionable, but man, have they been able to take over in the mid and late game. And honestly, that was the story for Team EnVy for most of the split, right? The big successes were always in that mid game. Seraph not only is he the captain of the team, but he does a lot in directing them towards the late game, split pushing and focusing on these objectives. And they have had very, very good control.
Yeah. Gotta say, just overall, massive props to EnVy for how they are navigating these mid games, because they're getting down substantial counts. There was like 3,000 at 15 minutes. That's pretty big, and they still made it happen.
Yeah, there is definitely some for both sides, because Team Liquid are making some unforced errors and opening opportunities, but EnVy are capitalizing on them very well and getting those punishes to work.
We'll see what the next punish is. As we move forward, Seraph once again splitting in the bot side. You've got Gragas dealing with minions and monsters in the top as they once again find their lane assignments. Looks like 3-1-1 this time around. Vladimir holding the mid. Ninja can easily run to either side, whichever one is needed, as the primary force is going to be in that top lane. Baron is going to be alive. So is the Mountain Drake, actually. So some neutral objectives also to play for. They don't need to go for turrets. Instead, they play the vision game around neutral objectives, and they will start the Baron right away. There's some wards around, but it'll still be very difficult for Liquid to make this even happen. So they're going to recall 10,000 health on Baron Nashor. Ninja spotted up, takes a bit of damage, but he's Vladimir, doesn't care too much. Hakuho holding the front line. Here comes the teleport.
EnVy want this fight.
And they're going to catch Matt, though. It's going to be one picked off already. Lod's unstoppable. Here comes the dive on in. FeniX got to run away. Seraph in the back line. He's already picked off Jhin. FeniX going to run for this one. Arcsecond running out of health as well. Jumps over the wall, but here comes Seraph anyway. And it's another one. A double kill for Lotta. 3-for-0. EnVy can do no wrong in these fights. Liquid just limping and losing more and more limbs every time.
EnVy gonna run it straight through to the Nexus too. They're looking to end the game, not delaying at all.
Not at all. They've already
maybe a little bit to try to kill FeniX.
Maybe.
Stare him down.
Fantasy points don't exist here in the late game or in the postseason, so it's going to be the Nexus turret's the primary target. What matters is winning the game and winning the match, and so far 2-0 in games. EnVy have started their run. One last fight to seal the deal. Push FeniX away from the Nexus because they will grab the last kill. Lot is godlike. The Nexus goes down, and EnVy are one game away from their rematch with Cloud9.
Team Liquid definitely with some issues to clean up towards the mid game. Losing Dardoch, that's why people said it was such a big deal, because losing Dardoch, not only is he a great individual jungler, right? This guy, he's got great mechanics. People are saying, oh, he arguably could be the best person on their team just as an individual player.
Sure.
But he did so much as far as giving the team a direction in the game, right? In-game shot calling is one thing, in-game leadership is another thing on top of it. And, even if, some of the words he uses are harsh sometimes, or they create strife within the team, Team Liquid without Dardoch previously in the season looked like they struggled to find that direction, right?
Yeah.
And that is kind of surfacing here.
Yeah, the direction they've gotten right now has been downward. They're finding the ganks, and again, I'll repeat what I said from the first game. Arcsecond, as an individual contributor, seems fine. He's getting the ganks off. 2 first bloods in a row. That's a great track record. The early game leads continue to be here for Liquid, but as you said, the leadership, the direction isn't there, and EnVy doing such a better job of team fighting.
As far as 2-week-old junglers that I've seen, Arcsecond is the best.
I got to agree with that one, but unfortunately, Liquid's still not the team that they expect to be with this current lineup. So EnVy, hey, good job to them. They're leading this series 2-0, so let's hand it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you, gentlemen. Another victory here for EnVy. 2-0 out to the lead here in this best of 5. But once again, we see that early lead established by Team Liquid. So, this kind of points to 2 things. One, EnVy still struggling for whatever reason in the standard lanes in the early portions of the game. And then on the flip side, Team Liquid not able to turn those large gold advantages into victories through team play.
So the story of it basically is EnVy's early game is quite bad. They're not really finding any opportunities for any ganks, for any actual pressure themselves. Liquid is moving all across the map, making those early advantages. But unfortunately, it just looks like EnVy has a much better idea of how to play League. They're winning the fights out flat. For example, we saw Lourlo solo out Seraph, right? He's doing really well, but then randomly decides to throw away the lane, dueling him in the creep wave of 2 creep waves, and then you just throw that out. Or committing 5 people for a dive on bot where you only needed like 3. So EnVy just kind of waits out and says, we're going to team fight you when we're strong, and they just win every time.
Yeah, it's really interesting watching EnVy because I know that their team fighting is quite good, but they are a good mid-late game team, and they always have played to that strength.
Right.
And their laning phase has just been the thing they sacrifice. So teams that can beat them in the laning phase and continue transition will always crush them pretty quickly.
Well, that's what happened in their series against Cloud9. That Cloud9 kind of was surprised by how well EnVy was able to execute one of their compositions in the team fighting, and they were unable to handle that.
Kennen? Yeah.
Yeah, the Kennen Lissandra, the double Zanya's, pseudo tanks.
And how about these draft adjustments, right? So we see Team Liquid deciding to take away the Kassadin. Given that both teams decided to stick with bans, we were questioning whether or not we were going to get the salty run back. But Team Liquid make the adjustment. They take the Kassadin away, but now they're picking it into, the late game Vladimir damage, and then also giving Seraph a very solid split push option.
It's just not the Liquid champion. Honestly, playing with Kassadin requires so much knowledge of playing the macro game. You got to understand waves, how to flank properly. It's a very much, you cannot be in the front line. You have to understand the windows in which you weave in and out, and we didn't see any of that. The split pushing wasn't really there. We saw him maybe one time holding against Braum Lucian.
Where's the Cassiopeia here?
Yeah.
Where's the FeniX Cassiopeia, right? If we're talking about a Team Liquid champions, Irene, that would be the one I would jump at.
Cassiopeia would be amazing.
Having seen Vladimir picked in, I would feel that would be not only give him some pressure in the lane, allow them to maybe, even more so win those early games and then turn that into higher DPS output late games.
It's got to be a denied pick.
Yeah,
right? They're thinking they don't want to have to send Kassadin again into the Ekko. We don't want that matchup.
Right.
So.
It's just entirely a counter pick or a pick away.
Yeah, but Seraph had no problem playing the Aurelia into the Ekko. He did the highest damage on his team, second highest damage in the game behind FeniX.
Yep.
And that's another thing that's jumping out to me is EnVy are always running triple threat compositions with their top laner being somebody who's a big threat. And Lourlo is just getting solo killed in lane a few times during the mid game. He's giving up these leads.
Well, we even saw him take grabs with the Undying. So when you talk about being a threat, right, just he's opting for a slightly less damage output build in his mastery choice.
Well, I mean, we have to remember that Team Liquid has played all this time with Dardoch being their main carry. It's a jungler carry team. And while you have a new AD carry as well, the kind of backbone of the team is the support, the top laner, and the mid laner. They're not used to playing without a huge damage threat from the jungle.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
a
hard to make
huge
that adjustment. You don't know what kind of plays you have to make, how much damage, how much more peel and safety you have to offer in a team fight.
Let's go into some replays here. 17 minutes in will be the first kind of big trade for EnVy. 2 for 1 near the Drake here. They will push into the mid and pick up a third kill later, but won't be in the replay.
Yeah, Hakuho has actually been playing incredibly well on this Braum all day. I loved his previous team fight last game, but this one as well. Great Braum ultimate across multiple people, buys them the time, gets knocked upon key targets, and gives them enough time for that TP to come through without the disengage coming back.
Well, and that's where I think we return to your point about EnVy just understanding how to play League a little bit better. One, they were very decisive in their choice to fight there, but two, in their target selection, right? Zeroing out the Bard and then seeing the exposed AD carry, Seraph knows exactly what his job is on that Aurelia. As long as I get that AD carry out of the fight, this is winnable for us.
And they don't
do exactly
They don't have to worry about peeling for your AD carry, which is one thing that Team Liquid has been lacking, whereas EnVy, you just run the Braum, and Braum is kind of self-sustaining with the AD. Just stick next to him, he's going to be able to stun everybody around him, and it's a lot easier to play it that way, whereas what Team Liquid should be trying to do is just, okay, you engage with 4, and then you split push with Kassadin. Kassadin comes in from the side, and then eliminates the backline, but we never saw that one time. We see them grouped up as 5, trying to make something happen in the death ball. When you're playing against Vladimir and Lucian in the death ball, it's not going to go well.
Now, that fight brought the gold gap closer together, but it's once again around the Baron where we see EnVy make their real big stab back into the game. This is going to come 26 minutes into the game here. 3 for 0 in the mid lane over to the Baron.
And this is great. Ninja starts it off. Jynthe is so far forward that the Vladimir is on to the AD carry immediately and kills him while he has 4 members on him. And then all of them chase. Ninja still gets away, and Matt goes down as well. And this just ends up being a very quick fight. I think a large part of that is the Sivir's like, I need to follow my team. Jynthe needs to help out, and he ended up just getting caught because he's way too far forward.
Now here's those damage graphs you were talking about just there, the Aurelia. Second highest damage of the game against that Kassadin, but you can just kind of see the difference in those split push options, and that's where those 1v1s in the later game were happening. There was no answer to Seraph in that pressure.
Yeah, and the macro gets kind of thrown a little bit out the window where the games turn into a, hey, we have pressure, we're just going to push, and you try to come fight us for it. Honestly, this looks like an Envy 3-0. I don't think that any advantage that Team Liquid is able to get is going to be able to transition into a win, but that's what they're here for. They want to practice. It's very obvious that they want to just get some games in with these new guys.
Let's look at that Game 3 then, Zyrene, because Team Liquid has opted to swap to the red side for Game 3, so at least something is changing as we enter that third game. But now you're in the position, let's say, as coach of this team. How are you going to set Team Liquid up from that red side to have a successful a game here?
Yeah, it's got to be, of course, counter picks. Like if red side, you pick it because you want to counter pick. I want to see how their bans change up too.
Yeah.
Because you might have to leave something open here because if Envy are like, oh, we don't really want to ban Gnar anymore, they can pick it up themselves. So that's what it's going to jump out to me. But I think the coach needs to be able to recenter Team Liquid, say, you know what, we're getting all of these early game leads. You guys are clearly a better laning team. And transitioning that, you just make sure you have clear calls, make sure everybody's on the same page, because we've seen flanks that haven't worked out. We've seen that they have kind of the right idea. It's just the timing is different between the members of the team.
I think they just need a bit more wave clear, honestly. They're kind of losing a lot of pressure. They're always being later in the pushes around middle because of the lack of champions at wave. So Kassadin, not one of them. You have
But they had Sivir at both times.
They had Sivir one time.
They had
one time.
They had Jhin, right? So they had Jhin, Vlad one time, and now this time it's Kassadin with Sivir. Well, Sivir is good enough. Having the mid laner to help that out in the beginning of the early game is a lot better because they're not able to do anything around middle with regarding pressure.
All right, well, we're looking for some kind of adjustments. Maybe the counter picks will be enough for Team Liquid. We're heading into a 3.5-minute break. Join us on the other side to see if Envy can complete the sweep or if Team Liquid strikes back. We'll be right back.
Game 2 as Liquid hope to make a comeback.
Alright, guys, like 20 more games until we win Worlds.
Oh, fuck. That's not hard. That's pretty easy.
Flash away, doesn't quite get stunned, but it's going to be enough anyway. Lourlo gets the kill on a Procxin, and now it's poor Seraph underneath the turret. Jynthe has aggro, he's going to get hit up. One more hit will do it. Teleport in, and it's a bit of a team fight. Matt taking a lot of damage. One more hit will do it. They're going to knock him down. Seraph gets one already, and now Jynthe in a whole world of trouble. He's got full mana, and an Ocean Drake's actually giving him some health back. There's the body slam flash. It's Procxin. Envy want this fight. And they're going to catch Matt, though. It's going to be one picked off already. Lod's unstoppable. Here comes the dive on in. FeniX got to run away. Seraph in the back line. He's already picked off Jhin. FeniX going to run for this one. Arcsecond running out of health as well. Jumps over the wall, but here comes Seraph anyway. The Nexus goes down, and Envy are one game away from their rematch with Cloud9.
Like you were already mine. Surreal to me how you make me feel wild and calm at the same time. Never felt so alive. Thought I was crazy until I reached out and saw your hand there waiting for mine. Like the stars had all aligned.
Welcome back to Los Angeles, everybody. We are here and ready to get ourselves into the third game between Team EnVy and Liquid. And to talk about some of the players on EnVy, because they are up 2-0 right now. Seraph is an individual player, twice in a row now, highest damage on his team. The top lane Kassadin, then the Aurelia, continues to do very, very well for himself. Good damage per minute, but number one on his team both games.
Yeah, he was a massive split pushing threat in this game. And honestly, this game was a bit easier for EnVy than the first game. Now, Team Liquid, they got behind in both games, but in game number one, it was really significant. Team Liquid had an 8,000 gold lead in game number one before EnVy started to retake control. In game number two, they also had an early lead, you know, with the first blood, with the solo kill, but that one was actually only about 3,500 gold before EnVy really started to take control. So it looks like EnVy are making less mistakes in the early game or being able to clean them up quicker.
Yeah, and I mean, that gold spike, though, was only 15 minutes in. Like, that, the gold lead is, like, numerically smaller. This stage of the game, that is still super substantial, and Liquid continues to make mistakes to let EnVy in. It's both sides, of course. It's EnVy making very good plays to get back in and winning these team fights, and it's Liquid just sort of playing like it's Challenger solo queue, saying, hey, we got some ganks off. Smart ping Dragon, let's show up. And EnVy's like, but we set up for Dragon. We're just going to outmaneuver you, gold lead or not.
You know, that as well, you know, it is the direction in the mid game. It's also how they're playing team fights, right? The team fights from Team Liquid definitely have had a lot of holes, and EnVy have been able to take over pretty reliably when the game does switch to that stage. Let's see if they can draft to try and shore up that weakness.
Yeah, we'll see. This time around, we have switched sides. It was Liquid's choice. They chose to play red. They did not like the way a pick ban was shaping up before, so we'll see how much actually changes. So far, though, these bans are not different, with the Shen and Tahm Kench still coming through as EnVy's first two bans. The Karma still off the table. Now, the question is, do you still ban away Gangplank? Do you still ban away Kennen? What's the counterpick's going to look like here? Because Liquid gets last say.
And what happens with Kassadin? Kassadin has become the one of the most important parts of the game this time around. Kassadin Sivir combo, one part is done.
So it's actually Liquid saying, we don't want to have to worry about Sivir. We'll ban it away. No one gets to play this champion at all. That means they leave up the Kennen or the other champion they banned, the Gangplank, at some point. There are Gangplank counterpicks out there, and it's actually EnVy who are choosing to ban it. Yeah, it's interesting, actually. We were seeing blue side GP bans, which is a bit more atypical, but that's the case we're in, which also means that they've left up the Gnar. And maybe Gnar gets first picked by Seraph, but it means Lourlo gets to play it if he wants to. Kennen's still going to be removed off the table, so the counterpick to Gnar is gone, and so it gets locked in right away. Not sure if Lourlo thought about that coming or not, but
so
that's the choice.
Lourlo does play Rumble as well as Ekko and Aurelia. They can't go for any of those, try and kill him, but Gnar has been so good in so many different ways. You know, the split pushing, the team fighting, you know, going for some mallet build, trying to chase build down, create pressure that way. It's a very versatile pick, and I think EnVy are very happy with the changes to this draft phase, even though both teams have been choosing red when given the option after game one. So
Liquid came into the series thinking the blue side is better for them. They've changed their tune now, and champs like will look a little bit different. We got to figure out what Liquid thinks they can do to turn this one back around, and it's gonna be a couple of things different. Well, the RekSai coming through as an early grab, and this looks like they've just taken away EnVy's drafts. The Braum, actually, they're considering very important, and Matt's gonna grab that.
Definitely has been. And Arcsecond like the feel of that RekSai. Gonna stick with that one.
Okay. Well, we'll see who gets traded back here with this one. Aurelia seems unlikely here, but the Jhin wouldn't be too surprising, honestly. That's going to be locked in already. Looks like EnVy not going to show too many things here as they're just hovering junglers, and they say, at least Gragas, let's make it Gragas. Not showing any of their other matchups. Even though they could pick support safety and they could blind pick a mid laner, they will not.
I would expect the Ashe pick here from Jynthe. I haven't seen him play it too often, but that would be the go-to down if you move down the line. Ashe, the common pick into Jhin, and I would assume that they would save their counter pick here until the other solo is revealed by EnVy. So just pick up AD carry, and I'd say top laner, because you're not really going to surprise anybody.
I think you definitely save mid for last. At this point of the draft, I think there's no obvious blind pick mids. Nothing too surprising came out of the drafts here, and you pick, you pick red side for a reason. To get a kind of pick on mid lane is usually one of the major reasons for that. Also worth noting, EnVy have a bit of a lower damage composition. This is the first time that Seraph's not on what could be kind of considered a hard carry.
Nar does a lot of damage, though.
Comes through as the final pick here for Jynthe. And well, yes, he can do a lot of damage. It's not Kassadin, it's not Aurelia. And with that in mind, you've now got a super high damage backliner. I think Jinx is super strong. Now keep in mind, we are still playing on 6.15. The same patch from the playoffs, so this is not with the Super Mega Death Rocket buffs that came in 6.17. This is the pre-buff Jinx, but I think the champ is still very strong.
Yeah, I mean, it is strong if you can protect her, if you can get that DPS uptime, allow her to freely auto-attack, allow her to chase people down, get the resets on the passive. However, it's pretty scary to do that because you're playing Jinx into a Gragas Gnar, and now on top of that, you have to worry about Cassiopeia ultimate.
Yeah, and the Black Shield to go along with it. I love Morgana into Braum. All his CC is very well telegraphed, and any good player on land should be able to Black Shield an important target before that CC lands. Hakuho gets the Morgana to make sure people stay alive and stay happy.
Your damage question has been completely solved here. You got your flat armor penetration, Jhin, and the Cassiopeia. That right there is enough, not to mention the rest of what EnVy are fielding here.
Right.
So it looks like they have a pretty good setup here running into this team. I'm very curious as to what their mid lane into Cassio can be here.
Syndra gonna be the one here, so pickup potential I think is still a bit better for EnVy. You've got Dark Bindings, you've got Deadly Flourish, you've got Gragas flashes and whatnot with the team fight power to back it up, but a Syndra can do the same kind of thing. Both these teams running 2.5 carries. Gnar and Ekko both can just snowball off the rails and take games over, but they tend to play tanks and play as a tank in more neutral games, so we'll have to see which way that goes. But otherwise, it's very focused on the mid laners and AD carries here, with the potential that Jinx can honestly 1v5 with the right situation.
All right, well, he's going to have Bard shield in front of him with the peeling of Arcsecond. Another thing I really do like, you know, the Syndra Jinx backline. Syndra's AoE line stun can get a couple of priority targets in the same thing, and Braum can also zone off another wide area of the team fight. So there's some really good possibilities for jungle corridor fights, you know, for fights leading up to objectives, to try and use the terrain to your advantage when you do have these really long range line stuns and AoE things that they are packing.
All right, so we are getting ready to go into the third and what could be final game of this match. This could be the end of the season for Liquid. They need to win this one to pull it back in. So now is the time to put your faith and your hope and your votes behind your teams. Hashtag TL win, hashtag EnVy win, cheering in the audience. There's some of the signs saying our Lord and Savior cheering on for EnVy's AD carry. And we are on to the Rift for game 3.
Well, he's looking to deliver on his prophecy of the 3-0 for EnVy. Meanwhile, Team Liquid fans looking for that reverse sweep. No strangers to the reverse sweep. They have learned from it being used against them, and
maybe they can turn the tables. We'll see what happens. It's actually, I want to bring up actually the Our Lord and Savior sign, because it's actually been the pregame topic of the players every single game. For whatever reason, it's one of my favorite things about LCS is the 5 minutes they're in the lobby before the game starts talking about whatever they consider topical. Sadly, they spell Savior with a U, but that's the Canadian way, I understand. You know, US English doesn't have that, but that's okay.
30 seconds until minions
is it okay?
I mean, it's I'm not going to hate you for it. I just don't spell it that way. Here we go. Jungle invade for EnVy. Arcsecond running away. Bodies. I don't know if he... I mean, I guess if Deadly Flourish lands, potentially you get chained down. If he doesn't know Dark Binding could be behind, I think it's...
I mean, exactly. It's all about what you are working with, right? They don't have information on who's up there. EnVy only had 3 people. They didn't have the Morgana or the Jhin with them, but Arcsecond did not know that, so he's playing safer.
FeniX trusting his juking skills to get away from the binding. If he had flashed, he would have lived, but if he had bound, he would have died.
But it's a large bit of damage, and that's going to be a whole potion he's missing for the lane phase.
Yeah, it's too late to recall and heal, so that is a big deal.
Oh, they're going for a delayed invade here on the top side.
Flashless RekSai. Seraph and Procxin going to wait till they pull aggro. And here comes the play. Body slams Arcsecond. Good damage. The boomerang slowing as well. Here comes the chase, and Arcsecond can't get away. The flash chase, and that's going to be the kill. First blood to EnVy's jungler. And now Lourlo going to fight back what he can, but be careful. He's in a 1v2, and suddenly bit off more than he can chew. That's a not good spot to be in. Ekko wished he could rewind this early game and do it all over again.
Oh, that is very unlucky for Team EnVy. Arcsecond, I mean, not for Team EnVy, for Team Liquid.
I know, we keep expecting EnVy to be on red, but no. Beautifully, beautifully done. The EnVy invade working out.
I mean,
amazing.
They invade with 3 people, get the flash with only a Gragas body slam, and then they go punish that flash right after. This has honestly been something that's more and more common in pro play, is going for those invades on the top side, since junglers have become more and more predictable. Starting up there for the Krug buff. The ward, trinket ward that was placed in that 3-man invade, which got the flash also.
He's got a crit. Matt knew he wouldn't die to it, but it still means a lot of damage. EnVy now winning the laning phase, and suddenly it's a game with EnVy winning the early game.
Exactly. What does the game look like when Team Liquid don't even get the early advantage here? Team EnVy making a very good case in the opening moments. But as we were talking about on the starting area there up by the Krugs, that early invade provides so much value for EnVy. They got the jungler flash plus the trinket ward down to go punish the flash afterwards.
It's triggered. It gets a bit more damage down, and yeah, 900 gold lead for Team EnVy bringing into this one. Feels good. Arcsecond just slowly and painstakingly clearing through his jungle. No longer gets a leash because his top laner has to actually play the laning phase.
Also without flash. You know, Lourlo took a beating there. He had to use his teleport early. He had to use his flash early. Lourlo right now is in a very bad spot as well. And he's trying to clean up the minions up by his turret here, as Seraph is backing off and respecting the jungle pressure.
Yeah, although weirdly enough, Procxin's jungle has been a little bit slow. He took the first blood and recalled for a Hunter's Potion to have infinite resources while going through the jungle. But he actually hit level 3 a little bit later than Arcsecond did. Now trying to go into the jungle, only for the pink ward though. He could have stolen red if he knew it was there, but playing it quite a bit safer. And Procxin will not really punish much, as Arcsecond takes his first recall and heals back to full, and is honestly not that far behind Procxin. He's down a scuttle or 2.
There are also changes, you know, you don't get a lot of experience for the pre-minion spawn first bloods anymore. So yeah, that first blood was great for gold, but you talk about experience levels, and that is very important as well. Gragas now, you know, jumping out to level 6 super soon.
Yeah, camps are worth so much. The like 50 XP you get from the kill is literally a quarter of a camp in terms of value. So not the worst in the world. Arcsecond gonna go ahead and start his blue buff now, and though both junglers are a little bit slow, he's at least on pace somewhat. And FeniX is going to get a nice 5-minute blue buff here. If Liquid need a way to come back, FeniX is going to be one of the major actors, and that attack comes through and has a blue buff to try to push through his lane advantage. Right now, though, down 8 minions under Ninja. He's going to get some of those back now.
5 to be exact.
Then
those up.
4. Eventually. Ooh, finds Ninja, though. And we do not have the blue on Ninja, though. Procxin did get that for himself. Let's see how this plays out. And the gold lead's still staying about 900 to 1,000. So far, pretty equivalent. But plus 10 in the bot lane. Lot is doing very well for himself. Keep in mind, a first blood that early is only worth 500, not 600 total gold, because the assist pool goes down. But that still means 400 to 500 gold was gained from the laning phase itself in terms of farming better. He's still looking quite good. See if they can find another play pretty soon. As the wave will push toward Liquid's turret now. Neither jungler really pulled down.
Hakuho doing a good job of harassing there on the Morgana. Also has Ignite for both sides in the bottom lane. So definitely jungler kill pressure down there. Binding actually does land. Pretty good chunk here.
Fade back a little bit onto Lod, and yeah, nice zap shot from Jynthe, but otherwise it's been EnVy who just look much better in this laning phase. There's crit. Q's gonna knock down the melee minion, and an early recall for Lot actually got him a cull. Same for Jynthe, but just better items on this Jhin right now.
Procxin went through the whole jungle, laid down deep wards, but did not step in that brush to see the pink ward that saw him as he walked by. And now Ninja's gonna have to go down to the bottom side of the map. I think that would be a little bit ambitious to go for a tower dive there when they don't see Procxin.
Yeah, they really didn't have much vision. They called it off. I think it could have been good, but Even the parallel convergence coming down lets him know that Ekko did roam and is going to come back up the river. Didn't recall, he did something else.
Summoners still available too, so mid laners can flash out of these ganks. Little roam there. Not going to cost them anything.
Procxin with the Raptor buff.
Found it!
Made aware. Knocks the ward down, feels good. More gold being earned. Hakuho, oof. Yeah, that's Thunderlord's triggering a Dark Binding for you.
Yeah, he already had walked in 2 ticks from the soil, and so the binding also gets the bonus damage there. This Jinx is getting beat up in lane.
Yeah, Hakuho is actually going for a pretty greedy build, though. His recall timing ended up being Frostfang and not parts of a Sightstone, so there'll be a bit longer where Envy is going to be wardless down here, and it's going to rely on Black Shield almost exclusively to not get killed off by a gank. So that is a window that Liquid could potentially abuse, knowing it's going to be such a late Sightstone.
Yeah, not only that, but also jungler here, Arcsecond, going for the health instead of the early Tiamat. Now, early Tiamat is super duper common now for RekSai to increase the clear speed. It will be a bit more tanky this way, but he's delaying both jungle item and the AoE clear.
It's the same build as last game, where it's just the early Jarum's Fist making that the play right now, looking like this is going to be Seraph landing a stun and a Q, and Lourlo goes, ow, that was kind of rough. The first pick Gnar, the Kennen ban, and Seraph looks very good in this one. Quick fight for the blue buff. And Ninja's going to grab that one. Poisons it. There we go. Mid lane actually staying pretty close to equal, though. Hakuho going to recall his individual gold. So the funny thing is, I'm cheating, but look what Hakuho buys. He has roughly exactly 800 gold. Roughly exactly. He had like 790 gold on the recall and goes Boots Pink Ward instead of completing the Sightstone. So still not really getting the vision down. Doesn't seem to need it in any way.
I mean, with the way this game is going, right? Both teams are just farming in lane. So I guess if he's going to stay in lane the whole time and not go for the roam, then maybe doesn't feel like investing in the Sightstone quite yet. I definitely would recommend that, though. I have to say, though,
it up. Log gets the Black Shield, runs forward, lands the crit. Here comes Curtain Call. How good is Jynthe dodging? He's not. That's going to be the kill picked up. Log now makes it 2-0.
Yeah, that was very good by Law. You know, once you get tagged by that first one, don't even blow your flash. He's got 3 more bullets left in the chamber, and there's no way you're getting out of that range. Just really good outplay there from Law. Jynthe, this Jinx is not working out for them. Getting destroyed in lane. You can see the idea behind it, though, I guess, because I talked about, oh, yeah, maybe they're going to look to shore up their team fighting in the draft phase. Actually,
flash knock up in the chain stun into the ulti. That's the kill picked up. Not a chance for Ninja. And Liquid finally gets something good on the scoreboard.
Well, Syndra bursts right there, able to get that kill in the mid lane, but Jungler will step in to clear out the minions. So in the end, that's just going to be a kill on the board, whereas the bottom lane is getting destroyed. They also got that first turret gold once again.
On the Lod, he's rich right here. He's up 20 minions. He's up the first turret. Individual gold-wise, it's a 1,500 gold lead just for the AD carry.
And that's a Jhin, one of the early spiking ones, right? He's building right into Ghostblade. That's going to be a super early Ghostblade. And there's not going to be armor on any of these tanks that early on. They've got pink ward control here.
Slipping away from Liquid faster and faster.
If this binding lands, it should be an easy deadly flourish into a... Oh, God.
Ding. That's going to be a block, but here comes a flash follow, and that's going to be easy for Hakuho to get the stun. Goodbye, Jynthe is dead. Matt flashes out to keep himself alive, but more pickoffs.
Pink wards, they don't just save lives, but they can also be used offensively right there, yes.
Yeah.
Good binding there from the Fog of War, and that is a dead AD carry. Once again, no chance to use his flash, really, because he was going to die either way, so holds on to it, but Lod is going to take over this game.
Pushing very far ahead, absolutely, yeah. And unfortunately, I think Liquid had no idea if Envy were in the lane brush or in the river. They chose one. They guessed wrong. Here comes the CC chain as Seraph is fighting Lourlo, who is actually winning this one a little bit.
Yeah, RekSai also on the way here, so Seraph definitely wise to back off there.
You can see they're afraid of it being in that brush, is why he zapped it. He hugs left, and he's like, nope, we were on that side.
I mean, yeah, I guess you can say, hey, you see the projectile, then you should be able to react super quick. He had his mouse over the minions, though, because you're trying to last hit, right? So you would have to see the projectile, move your mouse all the way to the back side of your screen, try and flash it.
Yep.
But not going to be that quick
Yeah, and the whole time they're watching the bottom side. They think it's in that lane brush. It's the much more common route to gank from.
Yeah. And even if you shoot your zap in there, that doesn't guarantee that it's clean. Nope. So it's not like you can hug on that side of the minions either.
And just be like, ah, they must not be there.
Yeah.
Yep. So, smart mind games and EnVy with 1,000 damage crit, better than Smite ever could. Secure themselves the Cloud Drake. They run quick. And with that bottom turret already dead, and Jinx herself being a fairly easy to gank AD carry, there's a lot of room to work with here. It's such a difficult game to beat Jynthe right now.
You can say that again. He's had it's been a rough series to beat Jynthe, actually, with EnVy previously running a lot of dive. And this time around, he's just going to get outpaced for the team fights. Everybody's going to try and kill him for the team fight. That's the whole goal. You know, Team Liquid trying to build this around that. But if you're trying to build around one of those late game AD carries that builds off multipliers, and delaying those multipliers early is going to be very rough.
Definitely will. So, difficult road ahead for Liquid. There's always the chance to win. We've seen even bigger comebacks come out from EnVy. Here comes the curtain call play, looking for FeniX. Arcsecond's going to take some of that up, though. And they're going to land another root. It's going to be a bit of damage going back and forth. The dive in. Stun's going to land on a Lourlo. Takes a whole bunch of damage. Jinx Rocket means almost nothing, though. Hits the backline, and Ninja able to flash waves. Here comes the re-engage. Seraph finds FeniX, and there's the kill off from Lod. Nicely done. Lands the crit. And Lourlo in the wrong side of town. Can't find much. A double kill comes through. Lod actually gets himself another as Jynthe pops the heal and runs away. And Lourlo will be the final casualty of this one. Ninja actually is going to survive thanks to his Negatron cloak and more kills for EnVy.
Yeah, you caution against this Jhin taking over the game. It's pretty easy. Roams up to the mid lane. Ninja is very safe because he opens up the ultimate there to the zone for Ninja. They know they can't go all in on him, and they kind of bait it around there. EnVy did a good job of drawing Team Liquid in. Teleport comes down from Seraph, and it's a pretty easy cleanup there as they split up Team Liquid and claim kills across the map here. Second turret goes down for Team EnVy, and they're not even going to make this one look close.
Lourlo TPing RekSai, Void rushed across.
But there's a turret still standing. I mean, Procxin gets up here.
Procxin's going to flash. Time Winder, bit of damage, doesn't really mean anything, and that's what you burn a teleport cooldown for, was a bit of damage on a Procxin.
Now you're giving up some more top lane pressure, right? I mean, the top lane's already pushing for Seraph.
That turret might die.
Yeah. Team Liquid struggling at the moment. There it is, though. Cover fire from Lod, Black Shield from Hakuho, and it's a pretty easy bait flare for Ninja. He also is able to dodge and flash away. He gets the heal. Actually, that heal is very important for him to be able to survive. Meanwhile, though, everyone else just gets chased down as Lod is king of the hill here in the mid lane and chases everyone out.
You get the final kill there as Lourlo. Ninja knows his limits. He was actually a quarter second away from dying because the phase die was actually cast and almost got the auto attack Lourlo. Not quite, though, and he's just fine. Top lane turret actually didn't take too much damage. I thought Seraph was going to get more done on that, but he chose to recall and stay safe. We have new lane assignments now as the EnVy dual lane holds the top side for a short amount of time.
95 CS, 15 minutes into the game for the hyper-scaling AD carry. Not a pretty picture.
When you have Pickaxe Berserker Greaves for the mid-game team fight, you are not very useful as a champion. It's a very uphill climb. This is almost impossible now. It's getting very, very quickly out of hand for Liquid.
All right, so it is dire for Liquid right now, but EnVy, things are looking very bright for them, right? You know, they talked about 3-0ing. It looks very probable that they will come up with that 3-0. Next up in the Gauntlet, though,
Cloud9.
It gets very, very difficult very, very quickly. Cloud9 is looking angry. They just lost the finals. They looked a lot better doing it, though. Despite, some games, everybody's nitpicking all the mistakes. They got to the finals for a reason. They actually had a hard fight in the finals, and they've made a lot of improvements since the normal season. So that is going to be a very difficult Gauntlet opponent to look forward to.
Yes, and that's going to be the test, though, is EnVy has to finish this series, and they've got 21 hours until that series starts, presuming that they actually win this game here and close the match out, and they've got to be ready. And of course, here's 3 games of their picks shown to the world to let them know what kind of things they're ready to play, what kind of things they're good at. Look at their tendencies, look at their counters, and they've got to get ready for the C9 set.
I mean, yeah, I guess they did show the Kassadin. Seraph has been playing a lot of Kassadin solo queue, so technically you could scout it, but Seraph plays, like we said, 20 different champions in the LCS. I mean, go ahead, scout Seraph, see what, like...
Yeah. I mean, Arcsecond plays jungle choke out in solo queue. It doesn't mean that he's going to bring it out in the series, so it's something to be said for watching it on the stage.
Yeah, he did show they are willing to play it in the LCS. He's very willing to play a lot of things in the LCS.
Yeah.
But yeah, Team EnVy, we shall see as they move forward.
Yeah, Liquid going to have to dig very deep here in this one. 7,000 down. We've seen bigger comebacks. They're just very rare, but they're going to hope that it happens. One good team fight can look great. They've got the burst damage. A good Jinx Rocket can secure a kill once she gets, i.e. Hurricane. She can carry some team fights, and if Liquid can drag it out, that happens, but EnVy are known to actually play pretty viciously here. They've been able to close the games out once they get their lead in pretty short order, as Ocean Drake spawns in 20 seconds, and they can fight for that.
And Team EnVy are very well equipped, right? They've got all the vision control over the objectives, and they have Morgana and Jhin, both very good at punishing people for coming into low vision areas. Pick potential definitely there. Stray binding, Jhin ultimate. Okay. That one is going to be on Braum, so he gets to block the Deadly Flourish. Also, EnVy are spread out right now. They're getting top lane priority on the minion shoving, as well as bottom lane, before moving over to get that Drake. This is not the best Drakes for snowballing wind into ocean, but I mean, any Drake is Team EnVy property, basically, so go and collect.
Yep. Might as well. Make sure you don't leave anything easy off of the map. Liquid playing to contest instead of doing something else across the map. Just kind of seems unfortunate. They're really not making any proactive plays at all. You know they're going to go for Ocean, and nothing gets done.
Yeah, EnVy pushed in all 3 minion waves. Oh, now they got to pick.
And Phoenix gets slowed. He flashes. It doesn't matter. The Dark Binding to make sure Hakuho flashes to kill secure. 2-0-3, second highest number of kills in the team. And here comes bot lane. 4 members of EnVy looking to knock it down.
Mid lane also is being pushed up. Cassiopeia doesn't even have to join this bottom lane push. Ninja's gonna try and take down mid lane while they're at it, and inhibitor turret already under fire. 19 minutes into the game, Ninja does come over, and they're gonna take it.
The game's getting more and more convincing here for EnVy. A 19-minute inhibitor take is here in front of us, as they are not relenting in the slightest. Down goes the structure at 1909. Quick retreat. Baron isn't even up yet. They couldn't take it if they wanted to. All Lourlo's doing is pushing a turret on the side. Doesn't matter enough.
Yeah, I mean, Team EnVy definitely looking better and better as this series goes on too, right?
Yeah.
There's always 2 schools of thought with the Gauntlet style games. You know, oh yeah, you have to work your way up through this Gauntlet and play 3 best of 5s, but hey, you get some practice while doing it. You know, some teams last year, Cloud9 was very outspoken. They're like, we learned a lot during the Gauntlet. Our Gauntlet run actually improved our team play, kept us practice, you know, kept us up to date. Yes, you have to show a lot of stuff. Yes, there are possibilities of burnout, but it does depend on how well you can manage players and stuff like that. There are also pros, you know.
Sure, of
you
course.
can work your way up. Your Super Saiyan training doesn't kill you, makes you stronger.
Great. Well, we'll see what it looks like here with this one, because Cloud9, of course, watching this series and ready for the next opponent there. You know, again, as you mentioned, bouncing back from the TSM finals loss. And even then, Immortals watching that one, waiting as the final boss. And we'll see what that looks like over time. Of course, these teams would be scrimming the entire time, but nothing does quite substitute for on-stage experience in front of the lights, in front of the fans, and making sure this game actually counts. 8,000 the lead now as Baron has spawned, and be looking at topside.
Looks like there will be a meeting here. I mean, Team Liquid, well, we're already projecting later into the Gauntlet. You know, they're 7,000 gold down. That can be changed. Remember game 1 where EnVy were able to get that team fight really late in the game? They were 8,000 gold down before they turn around this team fight. They get Baron afterwards. Those things are very rare. But if Team EnVy botch a Baron attempt, then Team Liquid might be able to try and turn something around. Team EnVy, though, they're not going for that. Clean up all of the outer turrets here. Collect that gold.
Let's see what else they can grab. 9,000 now the lead as they're looking for that top lane inhibitor. As Liquid, just they haven't gotten the time to get some real items, and no major completed items still for that Jinx. There comes the Mega Gnar, lands on a few. Already FeniX gets popped in. Here comes the dive. A great knockback. That's going to be the snipe onto Matt as well. An 800 damage crit from the final shot of Curtain Call. And the middle turret's going to be going down. Already the 2 for 0. That Mega Death Rocket did basically nothing. Lourlo flashes to save it. Look for Hakuho. Does get one and ults back. That's at least one traded around, but it's still a 4 versus 3. Liquid have very little to do. Mid lane inhibitor are going to be dropping as Procxin chases Lourlo out. A couple more shots from Lada that will be knocked down. 2 inhibitors are dropped, and Envy are very, very close to securing this series, making it the 3-0, and getting that rematch with C9.
And it is important, if you are running through a gauntlet, to have 3-0s, right? You want to cut down on the games. Yes, it is good to be on stage and get a little bit of practice in, but as they said, 5-game best-of-5 series, especially if the games are long, are very draining. So this one is kind of calming now for Envy. They're so far ahead right now. They're just cleaning up, going for this tower dive. They actually hit a couple good skill shots there. Seraph doesn't hesitate, goes right in on the Gnar. This one is not going to be a draining series for them, setting them up for the next couple of stages, reducing the overall games that they do have to play.
Yep. And Lad going for the famed double Blade of Draxthar build has the same components for another one. I think he might just be ahead of the curve and not realize he's got one already, but...
he's probably going to turn that one into an Infinity Edge.
And one becomes Maw.
Yeah. Or you can just sit on... I'm a big fan of sitting on Serrated Dirk. Serrated Dirk is basically what we use to determine the value of armor penetration. So by definition, it is cost efficient. That's how much armor penetration just costs, because that's its component, right?
And the thing is, armor pen, the only time armor pen actually goes up is into Yomi. Duskblade and Maw both the same armor pen as the Serrated Dirk in the first place. You can't even upgrade the stat anymore.
So if that's the stat you want, then sit on the build that he's sitting on right now.
And now the play for the Baron. Arcsecond Gnar into the wall, taking way too much damage. The Bind as well. The Chain CC, and they're actually going to juke away from the Jinx Rocket to make sure nothing happens. Blue team has secured Baron Nashor. That is Team Envy. And Matt is suddenly very much on the wrong side of town. Doesn't dodge a single one of the shots, and that's going to be the shutdown. Ninja gets the kill for himself. 11-2, wearing a Baron buff, looking at a very fast game win now for Envy.
Yep. I mean, they've pretty much removed all the small percentage chances of comebacks for Team Liquid.
Yeah.
Now they're facing 2 inhibitors down, Baroned up, huge gold lead, playmaking from Procxin. Let's see if he can solo FeniX.
Damage onto him, but Jynthe comes around and says, don't you dare one for my mid laner. It's a 2v1. I'm on his team. Let me send you away. But there's going to be
at him.
Another, sends a cork at him.
Away.
There we go. Out he goes. Top inhibitor going to go down. Bot has respawned, but Procxin's working on it right now, and this is everything right now. This is the game-winning push in most situations right now. Envy looking to close out the rest of the base. Liquid needs some kind of a minor miracle to somehow stay alive. Not even win the game, but just stay alive for the next few minutes.
Yeah. Team Liquid are looking towards, next split, right? Next spring. They rebuilt their team. They're trying out these different subs, trying to figure out which parts work for the team, because they are doing some restructuring.
Yeah, we'll see. Got to figure out what they're actually going to play with. Do they keep Jynthe? Are they trying out more people? Of course, their subs have been locked for over a month right now. So at this point, this is just what they've had to work with after their recent changes of Dardoch and Fabi leaving the roster. And, well, it's time for Envy to move on to tomorrow's match at this point. Run it down mid, double super minions, every single lane. Baron buff still on for 2 minutes. Huge gold lead, everything they need to close this one out.
Definitely true. Ocean Drake not going to draw anyone away, no matter how tempting.
It is not worth the time. Your opponents gain golden XP while you're not pushing, as they're just grabbing the minion waves themselves. So close it out. That's the name of the game here for Envy. They've got the team ready to go. The binding lands in a fuse, but a great stun turns it back around. Still doesn't matter. They blow up the mid laner. The game-winning team fight, the match-winning team fight is here. Ninja fighting off with Matt. The stun from Lourlo just means nothing. Petrifying gaze to knock them all down. That's 3 already for Envy. Arcsecond to the side, fighting Procxin. Jungle on jungle fight, but it just doesn't mean nearly enough. Black Shield is in. Ninja chased out by Jynthe. The final Nexus turret goes down. Max turret score, max fantasy points, and onto the Nexus they go. That's a 26-minute win. A crushing game win as Envy 3-0s the series. They will battle Cloud9 for the right to fight Immortals for a spot at Worlds. Envy finally getting a win in the postseason. Step 1, complete, beat Liquid. Step 2, beat Cloud9. Yes, it's more difficult, but obviously, yes, it is more difficult. But when your series looked this good, I would say EnVy's chances look a lot better than we thought coming into today. EnVy seems like they've been practicing hard, and they're ready to go.
Lod predicts 3-0. Lod delivers a 3-0 for the fans, and they did look progressively better as the series went on. Talked about, shoring up some of the early game mistakes, less of a goal deficit. Third game, no goal deficit at all. Come firing right out of the gates.
Beautiful stuff as the high fives with the fans come through. And we will see EnVy tomorrow. Liquid have a long postseason ahead of them. North American LCS resumes in, I think, January next year, but there's nothing else for Liquid to play for. They are almost definitely going to find some new players on the roster. I don't imagine Arcsecond was the intended jungler for much of this, and they're going to have to find out what they want to do with the team, but they can find that out over the next few months. I'm sure we'll have lots of juicy postseason drama for them. So Hastro there.
We got to get through Worlds first,
of
man,
course.
for that.
There's a lot to go. There's more important drama there. As the EnVy organization is like, all right.
The best kind of drama, international drama.
International drama, the best, absolutely.
Who's better, Phreak, huh?
North America.
There you go.
North America, best region. You heard it here
I
first.
didn't even have to tell him who's better than what. Doesn't matter.
Then all is best. Is the phrase now. So yeah, hey, props to EnVy. The 3-0 looking better and better and better, coming back from some pretty difficult early games as well. You had great individual performances. Honestly, Seraph continued to look great the whole time around. Someone that we were definitely looking at a lot at the beginning of the year. And we're like, yeah, EnVy, Seraph, this big shot caller, new roster coming together, kind of at the last minute, but good players all around. We're ready to see him excel, and at least in this series he did.
Even the whole team, right? Team EnVy was one of the new teams for the LCS.
Yeah.
They came out of the gate. They did have an easier schedule, like you said, but they had some success early on in the split, and things are going to get better for them, right? As the organization grows, as the team grows, they had those communication issues, working with multiple languages, bottom lane, worrying about, are they talking smack about me in Korean right now?
Yeah, that was a concern a while back,
You have to get to the point, where you trust your teammates, at least on that level, that there's not some shady stuff going on. So, definitely improvements for them, and we'll see how they do in the next stage.
And we'll see if they can improve in time to knock down C9 tomorrow. But now, going to pass it off to Dom Romer, who's stage side with a post-game interview with Lod.
Thanks, guys. I am joined on stage by Lod after a swift and very convincing win, especially after that laning phase. How does that feel winning Game 3 that convincingly?
It felt pretty good. We were all kind of saying, like, we're a little bit tired. We don't want this set to go to Game 4, so we pulled out the one tricks. We pulled out the Morgana, the Hakuho special, and we did pretty well. We closed out the game pretty quickly. Felt good.
Yeah, it certainly did look pretty commanding over the course of it and very one-trick oriented. Now, you've had a few weeks to prepare, and of course, with the Gauntlet, must have been a little bit tough. Tell me a little bit about your preparation leading up to this weekend.
Well, we had a lot of problems fixed as a team, but we just scrimmed hard in the past couple of weeks and tried to, fix very specific problems. In our series versus C9, we were able to win the first game, and then we started tilted and just lost 3-0 after that. So we just need to have a better mentality going into games, and I think we've gotten better at that. So yeah.
Well, you are going to be playing Cloud9 tomorrow in a new best of 5. So far, you've played them a handful of times. You've only taken a single game off of them. What's it going to take to win this series?
A miracle. No.
I'm sure you've got it. You've got him standing behind you as your coach.
I'm just kidding. No, I mean, they're a really good team. They were able to take a game off TSM, who's probably the best team NA has ever had, and they brought a competitive series to the TSM in the finals. So they're a really, really tough team, and it's gonna be hard to beat them. But if we can play sort of like how we did in the first game when we played them in our BO5, and we can just play more consistently and not fall behind early, then I think we can win. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to it. Lod, again, congratulations on the swift 3-0. Looking forward to seeing you back here tomorrow. But we're going to toss it to the analysts to break that series down.
Thank you very much, Dom, and congratulations to both Lod and the rest of Team EnVy for moving on to tomorrow in 3-0 fashion. I mean, we heard him talking at the very beginning of the day that they wanted it to be a short series because they don't want to replicate what C9 had to go through last year if they are going to make this run. You don't want to have to play 14 games to get to Worlds. You want to make it as few as possible, you know, and save that energy for the future. So a 3-0 here, this game, the most convincing of the three. And I think that's the big thing, is that finally in Game 3, we see Team EnVy get out to an early lead in contrast to the previous two.
Getting back into the groove of things. Obviously, they haven't played in a while, maybe a little bit of jitters, and not really knowing what the meta is going to bring, right? You probably have not played Liquid all the 2 weeks that you didn't play,
Right.
so it's understandable that the first couple of games will be rough.
Yeah, I definitely think, though, that EnVy kind of played their own meta, the Kassadin top, right? Having the Kennen ban against them all the time. They're definitely a team that is hard to prepare for and hard to see what's coming in the set.
Morgana support here.
Exactly.
Taking total control of that bot lane.
Yeah, and I think that that was a big thing as well. You're talking about those early game advantages. Hakuho played this entire series really, really well. His 2 Braum games were very, very good. I think there's only one ultimate that was even close to not being awesome in that entire series. So big shout out to Hakuho for
absolutely a nod to him. And then, as you mentioned, in that bot lane, the 2v2 having total control of it with the Morgana. It's nice to see that even in this meta of melee supports where they're taken back over, that someone can make a stab at something like Morgana in a ranged support and be effective.
And it takes balls to make Morgana work, because if you don't hit Q, you basically lost lane. You offer absolutely nothing, and he just hit it time and time again on the guy that mattered.
Right.
It hit Jinx every single time, which, you know, maybe try to dodge him a little bit, but we all know that Morgana bindings are a bit magnetic.
Well, and that's into Braum, too, which is one of the few supports that has kind of the capability of tanking that skill shot for you, in that he can leap to you and help you out.
Yeah.
But yeah, very much having total control there. I do want to briefly dive into the gameplay here. We only have one replay to kind of summarize this whole game. 13 minutes in, a 3-for-0 for EnVy in the mid lane.
And this is going to be Team Liquid trying to overforce their hand when you clearly see that there is priority from the dual lane from EnVy. As soon as they overcommit, Ninja hits a nice little stun, the exhaust going to come in, and Procxin just is right there to help everybody out with the TP. Just overforcing their hand. Shouldn't have been there, shouldn't have tried it.
Yeah, Seraph gets that TP through, throws FeniX against the wall, and the Syndra, like, honestly, you expect it to be able to take over the lane, and TL is going to be able to snowball their lane advantage, which I think is what they were going for, but they weren't able to get off the ground in this game because of a lot of the pressure that Procxin was providing. And again, yeah, he wanted to go for that kill. Not quite.
But I do think that that play above all else kind of speaks to the troubles that Team Liquid, this roster, is having, and that they weren't able to identify what you mentioned. The fact that their duo lane is already here in mid lane. They have beaten ours in rotation, so we will be outnumbered in this fight.
Yeah, can I mention that everybody on EnVy out-damaged the highest damage dealer of Liquid in this game? That's how devastating this loss was for Liquid. It was an absolute annihilation.
I mean, the game was so short that you see the damage chart, only one guy is over 10K, so it really shows how quickly they snowballed this from the 10-minute mark on a tiny little lead to a 14.5K towards the end, which is
26 minutes.
Now, understanding that this was a dominant victory for EnVy, I don't want to, sit here and say that maybe nothing good came out of this series for Team Liquid, as they are a team that is most likely, and now is, looking towards the spring split, right? That they were very aware coming into today that the odds were stacked against them, having a brand new jungler who has very little experience even in the jungle. He's a mid laner, primarily. And then, of course, you still have Jynthe. So when we analyze Team Liquid's play, like what are we looking at this iteration of the roster going forward?
Well, I think it is too early to tell what the strengths and weaknesses are. 3 games where you lost. I mean, they're capable of getting advantages in the early game. You saw it 2 out of 3 times, but again, it's not a big enough sample size to see what the strengths and weaknesses are. I think they just wanted the stage practice for Jynthe and Arcsecond here.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Jynthe is somebody that plays a little bit better with Matt's style, aggressive. Maybe you can play through the bottom lane in the future. But Arcsecond, I went through his match history, and he's played over 150 games in the jungle in 20 days.
Okay.
So he's really, really grinding. He's playing everything, and that's not including scrims, right? So he's played even more on top of that. And he was rank 1 challenger. You don't get to rank 1 challenger without putting in a whole lot of work, a whole lot of time. So this guy has time and dedication, and he's able to actually, not get burnt out and exert himself a lot. So learning the jungle role, if he is going to continue in that role, I think is like I just give him some time.
Yeah, we've seen worse debuts.
Well, and if you, that's a very good point. And then, kind of what you're speaking about in terms of work ethic, that's definitely something that, I mean, if I'm building a team, that's the kind of personality I want to bring in, right? If we're looking to replace Dardoch, who was a leader of the team, I want to bring in the guy who's training harder than anyone else, right? That's what we hear about Bjergsen all the time. Why is he so good? Because he's the first one downstairs in the morning to practice and the last one going to bed, right?
Like last one out the club.
Exactly. yeah, exactly. That's Crumb's motto right there. No, but I feel like, if we are going to look at this team moving forward, that's kind of the, for me, the big standout with him is that he is the kind of personality I would want to bring into a team environment. That's going to conclude here for Team Liquid. Do want to flip back over, though, to Envy one more time. It's time to crown our player of the series. The honor this time goes to Envy's versatile top laner in Seraph.
Yeah, not only was he pulling 2 bans every single game in the unique Kennen ban, his Kassadin game, throwing them off at the beginning, and then able to play high damage Aurelia. Games 1 and 2, highest damage in the game / on his team in the second one. So I think that he's just been a very versatile top laner too, showing that he can play the Gnar and play some meta champions.
And the team fights he played out just looked so easy. He knew exactly what to do. You go for the backlane, you flash the right spells. It looked like he just had another day at the office when he was playing the fights, and that's so enjoyable to watch when you have a top laner that's able to really maneuver around the fights on different champions like the Gnar, Kassadin, and Aurelia.
I mean, I think that's what's so crazy about a versatile player who understands his role as he jumps from champion to champion. That's what's phenomenal about it. A lot of times you see someone flip from a tank to more of an assassin. They're still playing like a tank, right? But he kind of seamlessly was able to jump from role to role.
And the thing that I've learned about Seraph over time is this guy can play that 4-1 split push style and be an absolute monster, but he can play the team fight champions like Kennen and actually open up the game. So being that type of player, I know he has a very good understanding of top lane and how to play it, regardless of what champion he's on, like you said. But coming into the Cloud9 matchup, Impact has always been that roadblock for him. You think about when Envy were on their upward trend at the beginning of the split, ran into Impact, said he was the final boss, got knocked down, and Envy looked in a slump since then. And we were like, where'd Seraph go? And then it happened in playoffs again, where you win game 1, and then Impact just shows up and is this beast.
And Impact has only looked better as the weeks of playoffs went on. And of course, now we got to take time to look at our updated regional qualifier tournament bracket, because as you mentioned, Envy will be advancing to face Cloud9 tomorrow following the conclusion of the EU regional qualifier match. So let's continue to break down this series a little bit. We talked about the top lane being a contentious one. Where else are we looking to be kind of the make or break in this matchup tomorrow?
C9 Envy, I mean, the maker...
we have evidence
in the conception itself. I feel like Envy honestly is not looking to have a good shot at this. Cloud9, as Lot had mentioned, brought TSM to a competitive series, which almost was game 5 at that point. Envy was barely able to take a game off of Cloud9. It's going to look, and this was a much weaker Cloud9 weeks ago in the quarterfinals. So I don't think that Envy has much of a shot. If anything, just the dual lane strength could be one window.
That's what I was going to say, but even then, you look at Sneaky and Smoothie. Smoothie's been a very impressive bot laner and in terms of matching up against Hakuho, who we just had some praise for. We'll have to see maybe if he has a response for that Morgana. Either way, that's going to take place tomorrow. We've got to thank you for watching, but for those of you who are still hungry for some more league action, the International Wildcard Finals are off and rolling over at watch.lolesports.com. Now, for myself, Crumbs, Irene, the casters, and the entire broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you mañana.
The North American regional qualifiers begin as Liquid takes on Team Envy. That's running out of health. He's not level 6. One more hit, he'll do it, and Lot gets the final attack, but here comes the re-engage. It's too much AoE. This could be a tragedy now for Liquid.
I'm marking mid, I'm marking mid. I'm gonna be an orange. I'm gonna be an orange in 5.
No flash Malzahar. I'm coming to Malz. I can ult.
I'm a block ulti. Block. We got him.
Outside.
Alley.
I got a Jhin. I'm going.
Nice.
Alright, guys, like 20 more games until we win Worlds.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, flash the way, doesn't quite get stunned, but it's going to be enough anyway. Lourlo gets the kill on a Procxin, and now it's poor Seraph underneath the turret. Not taking a lot of damage, one more hit will do it, they're going to knock him down. Seraph gets one already, and now Jynthe in a whole world of trouble. He's got full mana, and an Ocean Drake's actually giving him some health back. There's the body slam flash, and Procxin. Quad's unstoppable, here comes the dive on in. FeniX got to run away, Seraph in the back line, he's already picked up Jhin. FeniX going to run for this one, Arcsecond running out of health as well, jumps over the wall, but here comes Seraph anyway. This could be the end of the season for Liquid. They need to win this one to pull it back in. Lourlo will be the final casualty of this one. Ninja actually is going to survive.
Shield down.
I'm going in. Okay, Shinja's dead.
I bind.
RekSai.
The game-winning team fight, the match-winning team fight is here. Ninja fighting off with Matt. The stun from Lourlo just means nothing. Petrifying gaze to knock them all down. That's 3 already for Envy. A crushing game win as Envy 3-0s the series. They will battle Cloud9 for the right to fight Immortals for a spot at Worlds.